Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the Everything and Nothing Show. I'm just one of your hostess with the mostest, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Clayton Kisko, and I'm accompanied, of course, by the rest of the Maelstrom Gamers, a.k.a. the underdogs in gaming. With us on this podcast, we have with us today the bad boy, Steve Landis. Oh, whoa. Yeah, and he's dancing. I gotta make sure I talk over that or we'll get flagged.
Yeah.
I did, that's why I stopped it immediately.
Okay. Next up, we have the A-Train, Mr. T. House, Alan Tollner.
What up?
Yeah.
Did you just do the suck it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Bringing it back. And last, but certainly not least, we have the artist formerly known as the Enigma, a.k.a. the Wild Card, Ian Kane.
What is going on,
What's
guys?
going on, buddy?
Boom.
Not bad, not bad.
We've
That's
been
right.
watching some E3 stuff, and we're ready to talk about it and share it with everyone here. But first, the old intro. For those of you guys who don't know or just joining us, the format of the show is very simple. Us, Maelstrom Gamers, we hop onto Skype every week, and we bring 5 topics for our discussion, but more importantly, for your entertainment. Each topic is put onto our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Maelstrom Gamers channel, and each topic is Monday through Friday, video by video on YouTube, and on Saturday, all topics are rolled up into one giant episode that you can get, and all of this is for you for free. But if you'd like to get it early or have other various rewards, you can give us as little as $1, which is like way less than the coffee you get, the third one in the day when you're strolling in the afternoon, you pick it up, and it's like $5-6 at Starbucks. You can take one of those dollars. You can go over to patreon.com/MaelstromGamers, and you give that $1 to us, and then we can put it back into the show. It's awesome.
Yeah. David Fry.
We can get better mics. We can get better video. We can put guests on this panel. We can do crazy things like go to E3 and do all this other fun stuff. So it's greatly appreciated. But look, we're not going to hound you. If you don't have money, that's cool too. There's other ways to support us that are equally as important. You guys can comment, like, share, and subscribe on our Facebook page, on our Twitter account, Instagram account, and our YouTube page. It's super, super helpful, and the people who have been doing it have been really great. However, I do have a problem that the Flat Earthers are probably the most responsive of the group. So
Biggest vocal group.
yeah, let's stick it
followers.
to them, guys. Like, let's like our page. Let's follow us and subscribe us on YouTube, and let's comment on these guys and let them know that they're very silly and that the Earth is not flat. I'd like to outweigh them in the comments.
Yeah, can you prove it, Clay?
I
Get
can
started.
prove it. Yeah, Steve, don't be a troll. Also, real quick, on a more sincere note, I wanted to dedicate this episode, and I mean, I don't know how, like, we have like 66 followers, so it's really not that big of a deal. But I did want to just take a note of the tragedy that happened last week, with Orlando shooting, the mass shooting, the poor 2-year-old boy that was taken by an alligator, and the singer, the singer-songwriter who was shot as well in Orlando. So Orlando's just dealing with a lot right now. We have 2 Floridians with us on this podcast, so it also makes a lot of sense just to take a moment and dedicate this episode to them. So we're hopefully going to have a lot of fun, and we'll just kind of, in honor of them.
Good.
I don't know, maybe I'll put something at the end or whatever. It's worth noting, I don't care what you guys think, but I think, in the event, something needs to change, and I would urge everybody to really start thinking about it critically, and we got to kind of, this has been 5 years, 10 years now since this stuff has been happening. We kind of like, whatever, something has to change, and whatever it is, just like do something. So get active, vote on a local level, which is super important, and on a national level, just be involved and continue the conversation with people, because that helps keep it going and keep it in the minds of people so that hopefully we can make a change moving forward.
Huge.
Huge. Okay.
Huge change.
Off on the sincere note, let's get started with our podcast. As you guys know, this is going to, well, you guys don't know, I'm going to tell you right now. This is an E3-centric themed episode. So each episode is going to be covering a different conference. But you're like, Clay, there's only 4 conferences, and you have 5 days with 5 topics. That makes no sense. It's okay. Steve was so kind as to host the final topic, which will be the best and worst of E3.
Yeah.
And I know you guys care about our thoughts on that. So on Friday, we'll cover all the different conferences, and then the last topic will be our own little awards of best and worst. We'll kind of just really talk about. We don't really have any awards.
So can you explain, perhaps, for the non-gamer inclined viewers, what E3 is?
Yeah, thank you. E3 is. Sarah asked that same question like last week. E3 stands for Electronic Entertainment Boutique. Expo. Thank you. Expo. I was thinking EB Games. Yeah.
E3.
Oh, yeah, E3. Thank you.
It's like EEB.
And E3 is an interesting beast because I feel like it's changed drastically over the years. Originally, it was only for press, and only press got involved, and a ton of games were being released or like announced, and you had first footage ever, and this stuff was getting trickled out in all the different news sites via the press. And then at some point, they opened it up to people, and then it became like this giant like show where you got to play these games for the first time as a public, and there was like bigger conferences, and then it shut down for a little bit, and then it came back, and now it's really like, and now like each year there's less and less conferences and publishers and companies going to them, showing off their games, partly because I think it is a very stressful and unintuitive way to show your game. It really causes a lot of progress to get halted and forced in the game development. So a lot of times, you're building a game and you're working towards like maybe a vertical slice, but E3 is like smack dab in the like quarter of it, and you're like, well, this doesn't make sense for us to like bust our hump and crunch to get just some kind of demo that will get thrown away anyway and probably make people feel like, oh, you lied to us. So when companies have done in the past, it's really bit them, including like Bungie, and so I think less companies are opting into this E3 because they realize it's not that big of a launching point as it once was or perceived to be.
Yeah, I also think that they all have their own conferences nowadays too.
Yeah,
like there's always like a Microsoft only one, and there's always like a Sony only thing, and there's just more game development showcases throughout a year.
Yeah.
Than I think there used to be, where E3 was like the one to go to and get everything for. Now it's like you can have one at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, fall, end of the year, and there's lots of outlets to get your info from games these days.
Really great point. PAX is another big one.
Yeah, PAX, yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So now, what has it become basically? It's basically become the console developers, Nintendo,
right.
Microsoft, Sony. It's really been about them and their hardware innovations, new consoles, game. What would it be? Game exclusives. Those tend to be like the big things that you see and expect from E3 these days. So really, it's just like a gamer's wet dream, so that they can like see all the new, latest, and greatest stuff. So Rocco got added to the call, and I'm readjusting everyone's
yeah, that sucks.
thing here really quickly.
I think it would be pretty cool to go to E3 at
shit! Justin Timberlake, is that you?
Oh snap!
So yeah, I agree with you, Ian. E3 would be great to go to.
Where was it located at this year?
It's usually always in LA, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Rocco.
We can hear
but
you.
You are a pixelated mess. And we're back. Rocco is still having trouble. We'll figure that out in a minute. But we're not delaying any longer. Let's get into it. Let's start out with, in order of the conferences that happened. So, Ian, we'll start with you. Let's talk about Ubisoft. Let's talk about EA.
Yeah, kind of had a pretty big topic here. I had 3 big hitters, EA, Bethesda, and Ubisoft. And we're going to be sitting here, and I'm going to kick it off with a little bit of EA, who I think kind of fell short in the E3.
Nice.
Only because, they really didn't have anything kind of jumping out. They showed, of course, their typical releases of, FIFA Madden, all those are every year come out, so that wasn't a big surprise, of course. One thing I did see that was pretty cool was actually someone from Uncharted. Her name is Amy Hennig. She
Hennig.
joined, huh?
The lead writer on Uncharted and Last of Us, I believe.
Right. So she joined them, and she's working on a new Star Wars game, which I think would be pretty cool. Like, I mean, because I never played the Uncharted games until as of nice, Rocco.
Man, well, I don't know what you did, Rocco, but we went from the fugly boy to the heartthrob.
The most beautiful man in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Woman back before him. He's the most amazing man in the world. That guy. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, guys.
Rocco. Okay.
Men want to be him.
Interrupt there, but I just need to give myself like that formal introduction that I didn't get.
And
Oh,
there
you're
goes
going
his
back to
voice.
fugly. You're going back to
That's what
fugly.
you should say. Ladies love him and men want to be him.
All
Right, Evelino.
right, let's
Nice.
go.
All right, sorry. Ian was in the middle of discussing Amy Hedwig's new project, working with
Yeah,
EA.
which is Star Wars,
Not
which I
related
think.
to Battlefront.
Are you?
Pretty sure it's not Battlefront. It's a new
No,
Star Wars
it's
game.
another Battlefront.
It's going to be a new one, I believe, that she's working on. And if it's like the Uncharted game that we're playing right now, I think that'd be pretty cool.
You gotta imagine it's
Yeah.
gonna be story
Uncharted-
character driven. So like a Boba
Yeah.
Fett game or a Han
For
Solo
sure,
game.
for sure.
Uncharted 4 right now is pretty impressive. So
Right, and this lady, she's the, what did you say, head designer or
The
developer?
lead writer.
Lead writer, yeah. So she's working on that with EA. So, and I kind of teased it before the podcast for everyone. But EA, one thing that they're doing is they're actually helping indie games out, helping them kind of publish their games and everything
that's
under
right, I
their
did see
banner.
that.
Oh, cool.
So, which is huge because I mean, like, there's a lot of indie games out there, and I think that will really help them out.
It's kind of
especially
like
if they're
Steam's Greenlight project
Right.
stuff, right?
Right.
They
So, and I
held
mean,
back. Okay,
and you
sorry.
said this was EA that's doing this?
yeah, and I mean that's a huge company to be backing some of these indie games and everything. So
Yeah.
I think that would really help out people that have great ideas and concepts.
It's smart of them, bro. Monopolize the market.
Boom, make some
Start
money off that.
capturing everybody. Acquisition time. Just
Exactly.
buy all the studios out. Then it's just EA. So like at the end of the day, they'll get down to 3 game studios, and that'll be all there is.
I hope there's more indies. Like we're in a indie renaissance there for a while, and it felt awesome because it felt like it was the only thing I was attracted to, and felt fun. Felt like it was fun playing. So I hope that's like it's like the only place I get to go to even play a platformer these days, and so I'm really hoping it keeps up.
Name a game that's indie.
Well, Super
Sure.
Meat Boy
That you
was
play, that you like.
indie. I think Limbo was technically indie.
Yeah.
Two Brothers.
Indiana
I mean,
Jones,
that
Two
game was
Brothers.
amazing. Or
Okay,
Brothers
okay.
or whatever. Yeah, Two Brothers.
See, I was
is a
trying to
different-
figure out like what games I might have played that were indie games and I didn't know it.
Rocket League
I would
is
think,
technically
I would think
indie,
that I would have
right?
known.
Rocket League. Yeah, Rocket
Yeah,
League.
sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So like,
Did you play Journey for PlayStation?
Journey.
No, I never played that.
Journey was the.
I
don't
know,
think I played.
Yes.
I know. We had a whole topic on how amazing it
Right.
was.
Right. And that was like
You
a
guys
year
have a
ago,
PS4.
wasn't it?
I have an excuse.
I think I watched you guys play that game though. Didn't I? No, maybe
Not
not.
sure.
Was that the one that was going on in college? What game was that?
No, this
That was-
game only just came out.
that was
like,
Jay was
uh,
playing and all that.
Shadow of
and-
Colossus.
Okay, that's what that was. Yep, Shadow of
Oh, yeah.
Colossus. Was that an indie game?
No.
No.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking maybe because they look creatively different than
That's
everybody
true.
else.
It had-
So
it
I
had
thought
the-
maybe perhaps
It
it
does
was.
have a different aesthetic for sure.
Yeah.
It was just
I don't
huge. It was a big game. So like.
I'll actually talk about that because Sony has a
Yeah.
game similar.
cool.
All right. I gotcha.
So the other cool thing that EA is doing is they've put in place this like achievement thing, like when you make an achievement in the games and stuff, they're actually going to donate to charities.
Oh, really?
Cool.
I didn't dive like crazy far into it. I just kind of scratched the surface of it, but yeah. So that's how they're going to actually start donating to charities. Is like, oh hey, if you reach this in
You
the
get
game,
trophies.
yeah,
for-
the trophies and stuff
Okay.
like that. It's like
Very
we'll
cool.
donate so much money to this cause. And I mean, if you think about it, with how many people that play their games and stuff, I could probably get kind of up there in the
Yeah.
prices. So I don't know like how much they're willing to do per trophy or something of that sort. But I thought that was a pretty cool concept though. You
I
know?
imagine it would be like the tiers, the kind of the same tiers that they have on the achievements themselves. Some require ridiculous amounts of time to complete.
yeah.
Right.
Other ones just are extremely difficult. So I imagine it could be anywhere from a few cents to maybe a couple bucks per one,
Yeah.
considering
Right.
there's millions of gamers out there.
That is gonna be. So I'm sorry to like interrupt and jump right in. Do you got a quick summary of like what EA had announced like game wise? Did you already go over that or
I went
mean,
over what
basically-
E3 is. Are you talking about Ian or me?
Ian? Is Ian's topics EA right?
And
I got
Ubisoft
EA.
and
Yeah.
Bethesda.
Bethesda.
Bethesda,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
but basically, EA, a lot of people are saying, and I kind of felt the same way, is that they were kind of underwhelming with their games. You know, they had their typical FIFA coming out, and the big thing on FIFA was that there's like more story mode driven, but still, they're sports games. You know,
Yeah.
I never really got too far into story modes on those games. I don't know if you guys had.
Well, that's a big deal for FIFA, at least, because there's the first time they've ever had story mode, and it looks like a real cinematic like story where you start from bottom league and you make it all the way to you play for Manchester United by the end of it.
Man, if you could invest in Major League Soccer now would be the time, man, because it's like starting to get like even the gaming audience, like they're capturing you that way too as well. They're trying to get people involved in this to see like what happens in the soccer league, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a Grand Theft Auto almost story element where you have like these little cutscenes that push the story along. And the aesthetic looks very similar to Grand Theft Auto, like especially San Andreas.
Is that some, as a FIFA player? Are
Or
you
not San
interested
Andreas,
in that?
the new one.
So
No, I have no interest in it.
I didn't
actually.
think so
Story
either.
mode?
That was my thought too, because from what I understand, the allure of FIFA is the controls and the moment-to-moment gameplay.
It is
the meta
but
of a
at the same
story.
time, yeah, I know people want a little bit more story element to feel like it's rather than when you're playing a season, you're just playing every single game like over and over and over and over again. So like something, a little bit of customization at that level. So if you play a character, like a player story season, you have a little bit more attachment other than seeing your name on the back of a character. Or if you're playing a manager, you feel like you're doing something more than just, taking over the game and being the manager. You actually have something that makes it a little bit more unique. Like, I want to wear this. I want to see my guy like standing on the sidelines being the manager.
Yeah,
I think they just missed some of that.
Because Madden has
games.
a really great formula in the fact that like after every game you see and these are like real named news guys and stuff like that, and they have little blurbs of like, oh, so and so killed the record or blah blah blah, and then they have
do
stories.
that.
Okay. And then what
they
they're
do that.
introducing in Madden is basically instead of playing a game after game, you can just play the big moments, and so you can go through seasons and get a bigger story too. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Maybe they could do something like maybe they went over the top with the whole story mode and like doing it like the GTA,
It
deal.
sounds like it.
And maybe like it should have just been something like it was like a cinematic event that at the end of like the thing that went down, like you could give 3 different answers and it would send you down a different path that you can kind of
That'd be
like
cool.
customize your guy. Like
That would be pretty
I think
cool.
I would go with this choice. So you hit that choice and then it goes, big happened.
Oh, well, they do kind of have something similar.
So
like
it's
you can
like
talk
not
up
like-
a player, or
Oh,
you can like motivate them, or also like kind of badmouth them to like motivate them in a different way. And then same thing, you can say like about your upcoming opponent, you can say like, yeah, they're pretty good, or no, I'm pretty sure we're going to dominate them, and then it'll reflect in like a newspaper headline. But
Nice.
again, it's just like the same kind of things that they recycle over and over. So there's like 3 options basically for the entire game.
Right, I gotcha.
All right, so there's other games to cover.
Yeah, definitely. And so pretty much that's most of EA right there. I mean, they compared to their previous years, they didn't have that many titles. So, but we'll jump over to like some good ones here, like Ubisoft. I think they did pretty well during their whole E3 conference.
Mass Effect. No.
Yeah,
Totally off.
yeah, they got a bunch of things here. One thing that I thought was really funny is during their conference is they, of course, are with South Park.
Yeah.
And they have a new game coming out, and it's called Fractured But Whole. But it's fractured, but
That's a good
BUT,
one.
and then whole, like the actual, not your asshole. So
You know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I was cracking up.
Yeah.
I was cracking up at that.
So I
but,
haven't seen. I've seen the trailer, but that is as much as I've seen,
Yeah.
which was very Division inspired.
Mhm.
But what I understand is that it's not like a fantasy RPG. It's more of a superhero kind of RPG. So you're playing different superhero aliases of the South Park universe. Like Cartman has the one guy, and then there's like the other dude with the purple hood. Like, and Butters has got his guy. Like, you're playing those characters in a setting. I don't. Was there anything more announced beyond that?
Not that, nothing too exciting, honestly. But at least for South Park. But a lot of things that were coming out in this year was VR, which is virtual reality.
Yeah.
A lot of people are trying to tap into that. And one game that they were talking about was Eagle Flight. And think of it like almost like Capture the Flag is what they were showing. And you're literally an eagle, and they have like different areas and everything. The one that I was watching was based in Paris, and like you literally have to just go and get the rabbit and then bring it back to your nest, and it's like a 3 versus 3. Graphics were okay.
My problem with these new like peripherals and technology is that like these initial like demo like these games are not games and their narratives are shit. Like,
no, they're terrible. Yeah.
You're an eagle. You gotta pick up. It's like, dude, I want to be a space marine and I want to grab a space marine.
I want to be a space marine.
Like, what the hell is this? This is them.
They're basically tech demos.
They're running out of ideas.
They've made tech demos because that's all they're interested in. They're like, oh, maybe we'll sell this for a game, and it's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No one
and
wants to play
honestly,
Eagle.
Exactly. It was
Hey
such
man,
a
I
weird
want to be an
concept.
eagle. This has been my dream, like my
Yeah,
entire
you
wanna
life.
be a
This
dragon.
game
One
right
guy-
here is
one
my
guy
dream
watching
game.
E3 's
Okay,
like-
Clay. Okay, Clay. You're about to
Finally,
shatter
it's
my
happened.
dream.
Take my money.
Yeah.
One of these. That game was all about me. They made it for
America.
America. I could be an eagle all day, every day.
Yeah. Then you can get like
Anyway.
skins for the eagle, like Donald Trump shirt.
I could
Everything.
beat up
yeah,
the
yeah.
rabbit.
The hair.
And then if I was my VR headset, just shaking it around.
Yeah.
There's a big fight.
I would
between
love
a
to see that in
Canadian goose.
VR. That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. You shake your head like
Rabbit just. breaks into
I don't know
different
why
pieces.
I was watching
It's too
Rocco like
violent.
twerk his head, and I just thought how funny it would be if someone were to walk in on Rocco with his VR, and then I thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if someone walked in on Rocco while Rocco was watching VR porn? Because I imagine he'd be like really lounged on the couch.
It
with his
wouldn't be
head
funny
just
at
like-
all because I probably wouldn't know at all what's
And you would
going
know
on, and I'm
instantly
sure I'd
if
be
he's
touching
watching VR
myself
porn.
somehow out there.
I-
And these
knowing-
people are gonna be walking in, and I'm
Sorry.
gonna still be doing it because I'm wearing a headset and I
Sorry.
have no clue.
No,
That's
knowing
an
Rocco
image I don't
like
want.
this.
Very terrible.
All right, what else we got?
Yeah, what else?
What else?
Something that I think a bunch of us here are gonna like is there's some new updates coming out to the Division. So yeah, but I'm gonna tell you this, like from kind of what I was watching, there's like gonna be a survival mode, which seemed kind of cool, but it literally the trailer just looked like a normal thing in the game, and they talked about how the weather was gonna be crazier, and it just seems more like you don't have as much, I guess, resources and items, so like you're really trying to struggle to survive. But the trailer I just felt wasn't that great because
Is it like a DZ location? Like you got to go to this place, and then all of a sudden, like your ammo no longer refills and stuff, or your health doesn't.
I'm not quite sure yet. I didn't get too far into that, but from what I was noticing and stuff like that, it looks like just maybe another section, I guess. Not sure if it's going to be like a DZ or not. One thing they do have, though, it's like an underground area that they're building, and it's like you keep progressing through to see how far you can get. Like, it's really difficult. It's
Like a
like-
zombies for
It's like
Call of Duty.
dungeons, actually.
Right,
Like
it's almost
dungeons.
like a dungeon crawl. I would, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Alright.
The-
That seems kind of cool, though.
The
I like
DLC's
that
coming
idea.
out June 17th.
yeah.
What's
yeah.
a DLC?
Or
Oh,
Xbox
sorry.
and PC.
And I was gonna ask you guys that. Why do they do it to like Xbox and PC and then delay it for PS4?
Because
Like,
Microsoft pays for
Pays
the
for it?
exclusivity. Yeah.
okay, that's
So
what I was.
it's not going to come out until August for PlayStation.
Now,
Wow.
the other thing that kind of aggravated me, which it's kind of diving into like Bethesda and stuff like that, is I don't like these trailers that are literally just a fucking movie. Show me the gameplay.
Yeah.
It's like,
Okay.
okay, cool. I could sit there and make like a badass like trailer movie of this game coming out, and then you get the game and like, dude, this is terrible. It looks nothing like the trailer.
No.
You know what really grinds my gears?
it just hypes you up, and I mean,
Well, what games particularly did that?
Because I would argue that in some cases
Wait.
it adds to it. There's some cases where you feel like it's trying to.
for me at least, your face.
Rocker said something about face. He's going back to ugly mode. Because there's some cases that it helps build the hype, but there's other cases that it feels like it's trying to supplement gameplay.
Right.
So yeah, I think Alan's question is valid. I'm interested
Right.
to know
It's
what
different.
games-
I think there's a difference between a hype trailer, because everybody, in my opinion, likes to see a cool cinematic trailer where you get like the feeling, the vibe of what the game is, even if it doesn't necessarily look like what the game is. Like a great example for me is Knights of the Old Republic, or the Old Republic, the MMO trailers.
Yeah.
They are done by Blur Studios in California, and they look amazing. The fight choreography is amazing, but at the same time, it's a pre-rendered cinematic, so obviously the graphics are miles and miles and miles ahead of what the actual gameplay looks like.
Right.
However, the animation in the gameplay is very similar to what you see in the game itself. So you see them jumping through the air with the lightsaber, smashing, like doing certain moves, and then when you end up playing the game, even though it's not to the same graphical fidelity as what the pre-rendered thing is, it still has that same impact and same feeling. So I think if they capture those two elements together in a pre-rendered cinematic, then I think that's a good start to get you really amped up for the game.
Oh, I definitely get that. But it was just like Quake. They were showing it at E3, and
Quake?
Yeah, Quake Champions.
Yeah, Quake Champions.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, literally, like it was like a little movie, and I'm like, okay, well, at this, shouldn't you be showing more gameplay and stuff, and not like, okay, cool, it is hyping it up, but
What was the first-person shooter we were playing by Blizzard called again? What was that game?
Overwatch?
Overwatch. Okay,
Yeah.
it was like it's kind of like Overwatch, I guess, like with that whole scenario. It's like
Yeah.
that trailer like was like awesome for me. Really, for me, the gameplay and stuff like that is very similar to what you were seeing inside of that cinematic. So like, I agree with Alan there, but at the same time, I felt pretty let down with the gameplay. You know what I mean?
I think
I did get to see gameplay with that trailer too as well.
Right.
So it wasn't like it was just that was all I got to see. You know what I mean?
now, go ahead, Glenn.
I just I think it really depends too on where the project cycle is. When you first hear a game, there's a level of acceptance when I see a trailer like that does not have any gameplay. When the game's coming out in a couple months or it's like halfway through development, I expect to see some kind of gameplay. Like
exactly.
or else
Yeah.
you're not going to really build any hype for me. Like the new Hideo Kojima game that was a perfect example of how I'm totally okay with no gameplay because it was so weird and it had such a strong vibe and raised enough questions for me to like kind of think about that I'm fed. My bucket is filled in those terms, and then I'm assuming I'll get a gameplay trailer maybe next year or later in the year, and that's okay. Quake
I mean, that's
Champions
true
is
too,
interesting
stuff like
because we know what Quake is. And
Right.
Yeah.
they're gonna change it, and so I feel more involved in the gameplay aspect because here's the other thing is that Quake doesn't have a narrative. Quake has always just been go in and shoot.
Right.
So
It's
when
just
you're gonna
deathmatch.
right,
Yeah,
and so
just
when you're
deathmatch,
when you're
yeah.
saying we're gonna take Quake and we're gonna put a very impactful word underneath it as champions, which could mean MOBA, it could mean an Overwatch type game, like that to me screams more about the gameplay that I then expect to see. So it's there's a couple different variables there that like
That's exactly the way the Overwatch cinematics are. All they're doing is building up story elements behind the characters you play, even though those elements aren't really at all in the game.
However, Overwatch, like we didn't know anything about it. It had no
Right.
preconceptions, and so
Yeah.
I was okay with. I was like, this is neat. I'm watching like a Pixar cinematic. My mind is going everywhere for what it could be, but because I know what Quake is, I feel like I'm like, how does this gameplay work now? Like that's where my mind immediately wants to go to.
Yeah.
So it's weird for me.
Yeah. And I don't mind, those cinematics and everything. It's just like when I'm sitting there watching these things, I'm like, okay, I want to know what this game's going to be about. I don't want to sit there and buy a $60 game and be like, what the fuck? This has nothing to do with it.
Or before you
what they
pre-order
showed
it,
me.
right?
Yeah. So, but to go back to Ubisoft, they had a few other games coming out and everything, and I'll just quickly kind of go over them. But what was pretty cool is they have a game called Star Trek Bridge Crew coming out. I don't know if you guys heard about that yet, but
people are stoked.
I know it actually looks kind of cool, but I think it might get a little boring at times. But it's another virtual reality, and honestly, I'm not a big virtual reality fan, but this one actually looked pretty cool.
Not yet, at least.
Exactly, I guess. So
gets that porn.
Like, I'm a virtual reality fan every day.
And twice on Sunday.
So, but like you get it's kind of like it's a multiplayer. So each person has their own job, and like you're in there, and you if like someone is not doing their job, you're gonna lose. So you have to work together. There's a team aspect to it, and what was kind of cool is that they brought in Star Trek actors to play the game.
Like
So,
Simon Pegg or something?
What's that?
Like Simon Pegg and...
They had
no original actors, I think.
no, like LeVar Burton.
Oh, really?
Black dude, yeah. So he was sitting
The more
there,
you know.
and it was funny because if you watch it, like, and they were talking about how he's like calling out things and stuff like that, like he was really on the ship. So
Yeah.
Dude, it's a
pretty
Star
fun.
Trek fan's wet dream. Like,
Yeah,
you were
it is.
playing Star Trek scenarios, and
Did it actually look fun to do all the jobs?
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause they're
I mean-
important. You have to do them.
and that's the thing when you just watch the video. So like you'll see them playing and stuff like that, and I could see like they're getting attacked and they're trying to, the engineer's trying to do this, and like they're calling out things. So I could see where it would be kind of fun, but how far is it going to go is the question.
It's like multiplayer FTL, right? In VR
Right.
with the Star Trek narrative.
Right.
So I feel like I could definitely get behind of like if I'm the guy who's repairing stuff, like I can kind of get behind that, or if you know what I mean.
If it's fun though, but like if it's just hold X on this like socket and then hold X on this like wrench thing, then that's
Exactly.
gonna get boring after like 2 games.
And that's
Yeah.
my I'm basically saying is like how in depth is this going to be? I mean, you're literally just sitting in there and like, oh hey, I got to press this and then do that. And it could get boring after a while. So
Yeah, but
So
if there's
surprised
like
you guys
50
haven't
knobs.
Sorry.
What?
I was gonna say I'm surprised
like
you
if
guys
there's
haven't
knobs
mentioned
that
any
you-
other games yet that I've seen at the E3.
like which
Like
one?
what?
The God of War one.
Dude, we're not on those conferences.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
we're
not
not.
on-
Oh,
no.
my bad.
We're talking
So-
about
I mixed up with
Ubisoft.
conferences. I mixed up with
I
conferences.
I got-
Steve, just stay in the corner, bro.
Steve,
Stay in the corner.
Steve.
Turn around, bro. Turn around.
So I know my topic's running long, so I'll just jump into Bethesda and we'll just go over those kind
Sorry,
of
I
quick.
don't know the names of the fucking.
Yeah. But
I
Bethesda,
just played
I just play 'em,
This is
bro.
good. This is good. It's educational.
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 they teased Wolfenstein. If you guys ever played those games back in the day, they're gonna come out with a new one of those. Of course, Doom. They're coming out with like new maps and like they're also having like this
play it.
where you create the areas like a map builder
Okay.
that they're gonna be doing. And then we went over Quake. They have a new game coming out called Prey that looks pretty cool.
Shit, that was a big surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like it's like
Okay.
out in space, and it's kind of a first-person survival shooter.
Do you guys
is
remember
what
the
I-
original Prey on 60?
That's
I
actually
think it was like
pretty
GameCube
cool. No.
or something.
No.
It was like
No, I
you
didn't
played
play
a
it.
Native American. It was like a first-person shooter, and like aliens came down and you shot them, and then they were gonna make a Prey 2, and it got canceled, and then it got picked up again and it got canceled or something like that, and then now this came out.
Right.
Looks
So
interesting. It looks like the Moon narrative or something like
Right.
Groundhog
You're-
Day kind of weirdness. It's
Yeah,
the
like the
narrative is
movie?
intriguing. I don't know how the gameplay is going to be, but a lot of people there's like a cult following behind Prey that people really like it.
If you look at the video of the gameplay, it looks
Watch
pretty.
the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely watch the trailer on that. And then they're coming out with Skyrim remastered for PS4.
I saw that. That looks good too. Actually, the graphic jump looks insane.
Right.
Oh, really? It's like
Yeah, the
it's a
environment
big-
looks wonderful. Honestly,
Okay.
it looks like a cinematic walking through gameplay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. I never picked
Then-
up Skyrim, so I'd like to.
Yeah,
Skyrim was a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
like.
Skyrim's badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Fallout's coming out with some updates, like with Nuka World. It's like another kind of area. It looks like a theme park kind of thing.
Okay.
And then to kind of course, I'm getting back into it. Elder Scrolls Online. They're coming out with Dark Brotherhood and everything of that sort. That looks pretty cool. But one of the biggest things that at E3 this year, at least when I was doing my research, have you guys heard about the Screaming Lady?
No.
No.
Oh, you got to look at it.
Grapefruit woman?
No, she.
That's pretty good. That
Yeah.
was pretty good.
You got some practice.
Just gotta loosen up your throat a little bit.
Relax the jaw.
Citric,
Yeah, relax the
citric
jaw.
acid, the citric juices.
Yeah,
All right, we
you
gotta wrap
So what
up.
is that, Ian? What is that, Ian?
So there's this lady at the conference, and like every time like they got done showing a video or someone came out, she's literally screaming like "Woo!" the whole time.
Yeah, I
And
heard
so
that.
they
That
have
was
like,
actually Rocco?
Yes, it was me. Everybody thought it was a lady.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
I'm so wonderful.
That'd be
But
funny if
it's-
she was like, her voice was just like, yeah! Ooh.
all right.
What were you
So,
saying, Logan?
You gotta check out. It's like just Google E3 Screaming Lady, and they've
Okay.
cut it to where like it's like
Nice.
snippets of it, and it's hilarious because like she's like, you can hear her over everyone else clapping, and she like extends it past everyone clapping and cheering. So it's just like this lady is crazy.
She's
All right, we'll
like
look out
totally
for
looking
that,
for some
Ian.
attention somehow.
She's probably drunk.
Exactly.
Or just really, 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 really loves games.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Like, unbelievably excited about the games that are coming out.
You know who's also really excited about the games coming out?
Who is?
Microsoft and Xbox.
Ooh.
Yes.
So let's go on to
Transition.
yeah. Let's go on to my topic, which is going to be Microsoft's conference. So there's a lot of jam-packed goodness in here, including, hell, we're going to talk about new consoles. We're going to talk about old consoles. We're going to talk about consoles that are getting facelifts. And we're going to talk about
Okay.
exclusive games. And we're going to talk about features and
lot.
updates.
That's a lot of
There's
talking.
a lot of stuff here. So I'm going to get to it
Okay.
fairly quickly.
Okay.
The big thing that they're starting to really push, which I'm excited for. So we'll talk about a little bit. Hold on, I'm going to back up for a second. I'm just going to take 2 steps back. I'm going
There's
to
a lot of
start
talking
with
you got to do. You got to get talking.
yeah. I'm going to start with the original, like the first thing that they come out with, which is everybody knows about Xbox One, how all of you guys
I've heard
hate
of
it,
it.
and it
I've
has
heard of
Power Brick and it has a
think I know what
Kinect
it is.
and it's big.
Yes.
But now they're coming out with the Xbox One S, which stands for Slim. So the Slim that's coming out is going to be 40% smaller. It's going.
This
to
is the
support-
facelift.
Yeah. Yep. This is the facelift. So it's going to be 40% smaller. It's going to be. It comes out in all white. Other colors I don't think are coming just yet. There is no Kinect port. However, for people who already own a Kinect, they will get a free
Some
port
type
or
of Bluetooth
whatever.
adapter.
Adapter, thank you. Yeah, brain
Yeah.
fart.
Okay.
They'll get a free adapter that goes into the back. There's also no power brick, so that's a big thing, and it's quieter.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Yep. It will it will also support.
Thank you.
It will also support 4K, and it's got.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
So in addition to its tweaked design, like the Kinect ports and stuff like that, it's gonna have a new controller, which is gonna have textured back, so you'll have a better grip, as well as like an update to the D-pad, more like better controlled thumbsticks. They're tweaking that a little bit. Mappable buttons, the new headset, so you can just use your earphones. I mean, that's something that's around now, but that's going to be continued into the controller. In addition, you're going to be able to customize your controller. So have you guys ever gotten to like Nike.com and be like, man, I need a new fucking pair of kicks. Let me go to Nike.com and let me just like start customizing colors and
Oh, yeah.
stitching.
All the time.
So that exact, yeah, all the time, right. So that exact
I'm
system.
serious.
Oh, okay, great, because I do it too.
Yeah.
That exact system is basically being placed for the Xbox controller. So you're going to now be able to choose from all different color palettes and change your faceplate, change the bumpers, change the back. You can change your buttons.
Of course, if you're buying it online.
You're buying it online, yeah. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like $80, fully customized with colors, and you can get they do engraved stitching, so you can
That's pretty
get your
cool.
name tag or like some kind of name,
Like
whatever.
ASIN, your gamer tag.
Dude, I'm all about this,
Oh,
man.
definitely.
I mean, it's cool. No, it's totally. Don't get me wrong. It's totally cool. But that's not really like E3. Like, guys, mom. Hey, mom. Did you see that I can customize my controller now?
Fair.
You know.
Fair point. It's a little bit of the
Okay.
icing of the cake of the Xbox One S. So we'll move on
Okay.
to the more important
But
stuff.
I was gonna say you didn't mention that they're gonna have like online arenas cross
getting
cross
there,
gaming.
Steve. I'm
system.
getting there, Steve.
Oh, my bad.
God.
Sorry.
Man,
You told me
you're
to do
just a
research,
premature E3
so that's what I
guy.
did.
Damn.
And that's what I'm doing.
He's
And that's
just,
what I'm
he's just
trying
letting us
to
know that he's done it. He's like, yo, dude, I know about
He's
this shit.
like, I just want to let you know, you guys.
I don't know if you heard about
because we
this
still
yet,
didn't get to the other
but-
shit that I just talked about. You're like, see in the corner.
I get it. I'll get it. I got you. I got you, man.
So the next couple of features that they're adding to the Xbox One and the Xbox One S and any future console are including, yes, the clubs, but we'll get to that in a second. Is going to be background music. You can play any music that you want. You got Cortana
while
integration.
while you're playing a game,
Yeah.
you can play background music. Okay, go.
That's
cool.
awesome. I'd have to buy an Xbox.
I like that idea.
For
Wait, that's in an
backwards
Xbox
music?
360.
Bullshit. No,
Oh, it is?
No.
Yeah.
What?
Where was I?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Playing background,
Yeah.
playing background music? Yeah, dude.
All
Rob,
day.
my old roommate, would
All day.
play like black metal while playing Battlefield 3 or whatever all the time, so he could have his own soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that's finally coming to
Ancient
Xbox One.
technology.
Yeah, but
Ancient.
the fact that Xbox One doesn't have it is weird.
The fact that PlayStation doesn't have it at all is weird.
Yeah.
Because it's a gaming console.
Well.
For gamers.
Language region independence. It's kind of new. So the big ones are the clubs. So the clubs allow you to go and basically play with people like yourself with games like yourself.
So you can play with yourself?
Yeah, so like there's
Yep.
going to be a division
What?
club, so you can join in there and like you'll be able to talk to people and join like different games or like it's kind of like a guild type deal.
Yeah.
Then there's looking for group now, so you can find people that want to play very specific things and very specific
Oh,
games.
nice.
Yeah, so this go like you'll just see looking for Halo 4, looking for Division, looking for blah blah blah. You join there, looking for
Yeah.
Division this, looking for Division that. You
Yeah,
join in there.
incursion for the division.
Exactly. That'd be really
Your
useful for
score
those
of
games.
215 plus.
So
Yeah.
Xbox is really
Only pick
Oh.
F. Pick if no above.
Xbox
Or
is really
verbally raped.
moving
Wait,
towards
either
a an over like they're building infrastructure that will support all games, very similar to what Steam has and like what a lot of games have in terms of lobbies and stuff. So they're making playing games with people a lot easier.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, they're also introducing arenas, which are again another overarching foundational structure for all games to be played into. So you have Division, you can actually do competitive multiplayer tournaments, and so anybody can set these up. So you can look for a Madden tournament that's going on right now, you can look for a Division tournament that's going on right now, or like a FIFA tournament that's going on right now, and then you see the brackets, and then either going to be EA sponsored ones and other like company sponsored ones that you can join into and win prizes and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty
which
cool.
is pretty neat.
Can you host your own though?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So the
like,
cool concept that I see about that is that like if that's really getting the gaming community like
Together.
linked together
Without
you know
a
what I
game
mean?
necessarily even needing the function, maybe like the
Yeah,
built-in
right.
function. So
well, that's what I'm wondering. How do you host a tournament that would be like within a bubble?
I'm not
to have
sure.
that element.
I'm not
Because
too
like
sure.
Division is like a kind of open world for the PvP part. So how would you keep other people from coming into your like?
Yeah, so
tournament
Division might be a
things?
bad example. It'd probably be reserved for more competitive type
Competitive
games.
multiplayer games. Okay.
Like that
Okay.
actually can have or support a tournament type of structure, like a
Gotcha.
Street
Like a
Fighter or
Battlefront
something like that.
or something like
Like
that.
Unreal
Yeah.
Tournament.
Unreal Tournament. Yeah.
Overwatch, all that different stuff.
And then, in addition to that, they're
Eagle
moving
Flight.
even further into Windows 10 support with Xbox. So a lot of what they're pushing for, especially for their exclusive games, is when you buy the game for Xbox One, you get a free copy of Windows 10 and vice versa. So if you bought the Windows 10 version or PC version, you get the Xbox One as well, which I think is pretty huge. So someone who buys Rocket League now gets
That
the
is
PC.
That is big.
In addition
like that.
to, they're adding games that have cross-platform. So Rocket League PC players and Xbox players, they can all play together. The other big thing that they announced is, like in the same vein, is Minecraft Realms. So anybody playing a PC Minecraft, Xbox Minecraft, iOS Minecraft, or Android Minecraft will all play together, which is
Oh,
crazy.
very cool.
That was a cool thing.
So
Wow, that's
So they like merged all those like networks or
yes,
something like
so they're,
that. I'm guessing it's
they're
one
heavily
world.
focused on getting players together on multiple platforms very, very easily and efficiently, which I think is a really great step forward.
And
in
that's
gaming.
just Xbox
Well,
moving forward with that,
yeah.
and Microsoft. Okay.
Microsoft.
now I have a question on that, Clay. Okay, do you think that there would be an advantage though to someone playing on a certain platform? Like, okay, if
Like
you think about
PC
it,
versus Xbox. You're
yeah,
saying?
like
I don't know. You kind of, yeah. But it's possible, but like, I don't know. It's debatable too because let's take a fighting game for example. There's people who are really good with the stick and people who are really good with the controller, and it's just to each their own. And same with shooters. Like, I think there definitely is, like, that gets really hard because you can get really, really technical and precise with a keyboard and mouse. But there's things that, like, aim assist can be contributed to the controller. So it's kind of hard. I don't know if you'd ever go into, like, super, super competitive tournament play with that or want to. And I would imagine if they're smart, you'd be able to separate yourself if you didn't want to be merged with someone of the, you know what I mean? But, like, Rocket League is a little bit, like, it's a little bit easier to merge themselves. Same with Minecraft.
I mean, this is like super in the details and stuff like that. But that sometimes like PC games could be moddable too as well, which might give a little bit of that advantage kind of feel over that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but I mean, like I said, we're just nitpicking at that point. Like I think the fact that they got like this cross-platform thing being developed is like huge because. That's just going to open up those communities even larger. And I think that they just created the Facebook of the gaming community with making those hubs where people can now communicate with one another to set up groups or to play a game or to do whatever. Like, that's a big deal because it gives them a one-stop shop location to be able to, like, communicate with one another and to make gaming happen.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that sometimes can be a difficult thing, like being the new kid in the block, going to school and wanting to communicate with other people. It makes it easier.
I mean,
having something like that.
Well, I mean, I like the fact that, like, say, if you get it the same copy for your PC and everything, like, say I go over to Clay's house and he has an Xbox, and we don't want to play on the same TV, I could just play the same game on his computer while he's playing on the TV.
Yeah. They had a couple big pillar initiatives, and what you're describing, Steve, is the one where it said play anywhere. Like, always be able to play wherever you are. And so that's why when you buy an Xbox One game, you can play it on your PC. And now that you can go back for achievements and all that progress, it all gets transferred. So
that's huge, though. The fact that in itself is big. Because if I could go out there and I could buy a PlayStation game and also get that same game for my computer, that's a big deal for me. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's got so much more value now for me as a gamer for that game itself.
Oh, yeah.
That in itself is something that like looks that for me. I'm like, wow, that's kind of tempting. Now
I would
like Xbox now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, yeah, I might just do Xbox.
like as much as I was like, not that I was like, oh, I'm not gonna do it at all, but that that's a
traders
program.
Traders.
Yeah. No, that's just a program.
Oh, you sound so good when you get close to the mic.
I get a really good value on top of like you were saying. Some of these Xboxes are now coming out with the ability.
It's just, and there's certain people that will only play Xbox, certain people or only play console and only play PC. This allows you to play with your friends. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If a game came out all platform, but for whatever reason, Rocco, you didn't want to play PC because your PC sucks and you want to stay with console. Well, you can get the Xbox One, and then all of us can be on PC, like Overwatch, for instance, and then we would all be able to play together. So it opens up the doors.
See, that's why, like, for me at least, for me as a consumer, that's a huge door that it just opened where I might go buy a $500 Xbox or whatever the hell it costs. Just because I'm like, damn,
$299
for me solo, it's better to play games on the console, because my internet and it's not that great. So playing on there and those servers, it works better for me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But whenever we do competitive gameplay, I really like to play PC games more when it comes to competitive gameplay online.
Right.
Like really competitive than I do so much console.
Yeah. So
that would be huge.
So real quick, they've also announced a slew of games. Gears of War 4 obviously is coming out. They have Gwent, the Witcher 3 card game. The mini game they're turning into a real game. Think like Hearthstone a little bit in its production value. So that's going to be its own game. We're going to have Tekken 7 come early 2017. You got Dead Rising 4, which is coming out. Everybody's favorite zombie kind of style game. If that's not your style of zombie game, they also announced State of Decay 2 coming out 2017. Ooh. So that's very fun. Halo Wars 2. Not a fan of Halo Wars, but we'll see if they can improve upon the console RTS experience.
It's an RTS, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Scalebound is coming to PC. What else do I have here? Oh, Inside, which I'm super excited for, is release date July 7th. It is from the creators of Limbo. So if you guys enjoyed Limbo, like I did, it was one of my favorite games that I played that year. This game takes that tone and atmosphere, and then with a little bit of different style, but really in the same vein as Limbo. It's very creepy, puzzle-orientated platformer. It looks really great. So check that out. We talked about The Division. Let's see. General Ram is coming to Killer Instinct as a playable fighter. He's the main bad guy in Gears of War 1. So that's kind of fun. We got Forza Horizon 3 announced. Oh, Recore has a release date on September 13th. I'm very interested in Recore. If you guys were a fan of 3D platformers, this is kind of in that vein. Which is very interesting because I always wonder if they did this because the game did it, but the ability to change your character on the fly, very much like Overwatch. So if you want to play the very quick mobile character, or you want to but it's in the 3D platform space, single player, so think that mechanic within that realm. So I don't know, Super Mario 64, with the ability to switch between Yoshi and Princess Peach and Luigi at the whim to solve a puzzle or defeat an enemy.
So you have to rely on it pretty much. You couldn't just play the same character through the whole game.
Right, it is an integral part of what you're doing.
I guess it would be comparable to the Lego games, like how you have to change your guy to get to a certain thing.
Yeah, but...
Or
I guess.
What's that one?
I was gonna say there's another game where it's 3 characters you can.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. It's like a
Lost
side scroller
Vikings.
too.
What was it called?
Banjo-Tooie?
No.
Banjo-Kazooie?
No, it's got a really nice visual look to it. It's sorcery, like a sorcerer, and then a knight, and then something else.
And they all have different things that they can do. That
I want to say torchlight, but it's not what it is. It's amulet or something like that.
We'll have to look into
Can't
that.
think of the name
And then
of it.
finally, Xbox revealed Xbox Scorpio, which is their next console. And it's going to be backwards compatible with all Xbox One games.
You do not look happy, Alan.
It is going to have 4K support. It's coming out Christmas of 2017. It is going to have all everything that's their mantra here is nobody left behind. So everything that you have for the previous Xbox will work with this game, and all games for the Xbox Scorpio will work with Xbox One S and Xbox One games. So you're not left behind, and you'll be it's really,
so you can buy the Scorpio or whatever, Scorpio, whatever it's called, games right now, even if you don't have the console quite yet.
Correct. Yes.
Looking to go and invest into it later.
Yes.
Well, what's the point of the new console?
So it's
just supporting 4K?
It's basically 4K, and it's going to have VR ready. So Fallout 4 announced
So
that
that's
they're
the two differences between anything else. Is just that you have the VR capabilities now and 4K quality.
And 4K quality, yeah, and it's going to be basically setting you up for another 5 years, right? And so or 4 years or 3 years, however, whenever these cycles start coming out
this
again.
cycle is starting to shrink a lot.
No, it's big time, yeah. Which is ridiculous.
So think about it iPhone-ish. You have your 6S, you have your 6, and then your 5S.
That's exactly what Yukiko said, because I was complaining to her about this. If we can just talk about this whole console thing for a second. I was usually, up until this year, the console cycle is 5-6 years. It went a long time between Xbox 360 and Xbox One, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4.
Right.
And every time you get a new one, you shell out $400, $500, $600, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, I don't want to be having to upgrade my PlayStation 4, which I just bought, 3 years ago or something.
Right.
And spend another $400, $500 for it. And she's like, well, people with phones, if you get an iPhone or something, people are upgrading that every 2 years and those are even more expensive than consoles these days. That's $700.
Yeah.
So I can understand where they're trying to move to that direction, but as gamers, I feel like that's a little bit of a harder pill to swallow when it's such a big deal to upgrade to the next console in the first place.
Here's something that happens with that phone scenario too, though. They get you get a discount getting an upgrade,
you get an upgrade
phone or something like
yeah.
that. So they only have to pay maybe instead of the whole phone price, which is $700, which I think is ridiculous as it is. I think that then you have to pay maybe 100, 150 or something like that. What if consoles or Sony or Xbox did something like that? Said, hey, we're coming out with the PlayStation 4S. And if you're going to upgrade to this one, we'll take your refurbished ones and resell those or do whatever we can. And we'll give you a $150 credit towards the other one.
I don't think that'd be great, though, because then they would just come out with some stupid shit. When they upgrade the iPhone, it's really not upgraded. You have slow motion now. Camera. So, that's a huge difference, so you might want to do that. You know what I mean? They might do some stupid shit, you know what I mean, like that, and just say, it's got a better chip in it. Which
that's exactly what these are, though.
That's Alan.
Or something. I don't know.
That's Alan's point too. The fact that they're doing that so fast is that
but can you
they're
imagine
not
every
really
2
releasing
years,
it with
though?
a lot of quality. There's not when I asked Clay, I was like, "What's the difference?" He's like VR and 4K. Okay, so there's only two things there on the major difference. Now those are pretty big differences in quality that's coming out right now.
Well,
nowadays.
it also has HDR capabilities as
too.
well.
Okay.
This is for a very specific type of this is for the early adapters of consoles, and they do exist. Okay. And I think this is what is being marketed to. Like, they're breaking up their marketing tiers, and you see this with PCs. I mean, new PCs come out all the time. The fact that something is coming out to be a little bit better is the people who bought Xbox.
PC's upgradable.
That's a good point.
PC is upgradable. You can buy any part of a PC that you want. You don't have to buy a whole new computer every time you want to upgrade.
But a laptop usually isn't, and a lot of people jump laptops, right? And if you can think of Xbox One having 10 years of different versions, all games work. It's just a different experience because of like the fact that you get like higher frame rate or whatever. Like you could. I'm
still unconvinced about the upgrade, the game thing, because like they when they test the game when they're developing it, right? It's on a specific type of architecture for that particular console, right? So like if you're making an Xbox game, you have like a demo Xbox console, right? That you're making it to make sure that it can push it to its limits, but also stay within the bounds that processor is capable of rendering the entire gameplay. So you don't have slowdowns, you don't have stuttering, you don't have any graphical issues when you're playing it. If you're taking a game made for this generation of games, of consoles, and then all of a sudden you're having it render at 4K, like how do you know that that's going to be able to like transfer over?
I just think if I can make a assumption, is that Xbox One is closer to a PC than we think. And, their dev kits will be able to support different settings that can jump up and down. So you have a Scorpio dev kit, and that thing can show you what it would look like on a Scorpio, change the setting down to an Xbox One or an Xbox Slim, show you that setting as well.
Here's another catch too as well. So like I agree with you too, Alan. Like I don't like the idea of having to drop $450.
So here's the key word there that you say have to drop. You do not have to buy into this game.
Of course, okay.
Or this console.
So that was the thing. That's the kind of thing. So like I guess this is the deal. Like if as a gamer myself, I like to stay on the bleeding edge. Like what's the new stuff coming around the corner? What's all this? What's that? So that for me feels like I have to. You know what I mean? Like if it comes around, like I want to participate. I want to be in that new. If it has some type of value, you know what I mean? If it's like okay, exclusive only PlayStation 5 games, and you're like, oh man, like I can't do this backwards compatible thing. I can't go buy. Mine doesn't have the Xbox.
That's not the case here.
No, I get that.
All it's doing is enhancing your experience and allowing extra features like VR. So like it's going to be 10 times more powerful than the Xbox One.
This is what I was going to say. I get Alan's point with that idea and that concept of not wanting to have to go drop so much at the same time. But the other side of that, is that I sure as hell also want the most advanced technology that we have capable. So if instead of waiting 5 years, just to wait 5 years to put that span of time in there for people to feel like that's a reasonable amount of time. If we came out with now 4 or 5 different motherboards that are going to make it 15% better quality, I would prefer to have that and have a PlayStation 4S or an Xbox S in between. You know what I mean? That's going to give me better gameplay.
I guess. Sure. I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from because it's jarring and it's different. But I can also see where they're coming from because, like, I didn't get an the only reason why I get Xbox One is because, one, it was free. And two, it was like a year after it came out. So I don't know when you guys got your PS4, but by the time I probably would have bought an Xbox One, it would have been 2 years out with at least one price point drop. So this Xbox...
Mine was about 3 or 4 months in for a PlayStation 4 for
mine was release date.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
I got mine a couple of years after it came out.
Yeah, see, I didn't.
Rocco got like one of the first ones.
Well, that's what I was talking about. When I was saying bleeding edge and stuff like that, like I usually tend to do that. Like I tend to be the guy with the Wii.
That scenario is different because you have a PS3, which could not jump. Like if your PS3 could have played all the PS4 games and you didn't have to worry about that, and it was closer.
That's why I'm saying I like this Xbox Scorpio or Scorpio. What is it called? Scorpio?
Project Scorpio. It's tentative.
Project Scorpio. I like this idea. Honestly, I like the fact that you're going to come out with a system that's going to have this backwards, compatibility and forward compatibility kind of idea too as well, and going to give me the upgrade for like the new technology that's around. You want it to be like I'm playing on my PlayStation 4, which is a $450 device, but it can't upscale the quality, the resolution, whatever you want to say, to my 4K TV that I just recently bought. So it's like now there's a lack of technology connection to give me that quality that I really want to have. So I wouldn't mind having a PlayStation 4 Scorpio.
But that's why
you know what I mean. That's going to give me those extra abilities.
I'm just saying you have options, right? The Slim is out there, and if you want to trade in your Xbox One, drop an extra $50 to get to 300 price point, and now you have a 4K ready device.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, real quick, and then I think we have to wrap up.
Are the games for the Scorpio, are those compatible with Xbox One?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm also kind of like thrown off. The reverse of having older games working for newer ones, I can understand like the hardware can handle it, but a game developed for the Scorpio is having a 10 times more powerful processor.
Yep.
And then if I just buy it from my Xbox One, like how do I know that that's even going to work unless it's actually just down-resing it to like a lower quality than what I would get on the Scorpio.
It's exactly what you have to like think. This is we are breaching PC development like strategy and tact like. I don't. What's the word for it? Just like formula, like.
But then why not get a computer? Because like that's the whole point of getting a console is like you're locked on this one system. You know everything runs perfectly for this type of setup. Like
everyone has the same
there's no
thing.
doubt that when you play it, like it's gonna run like this.
Yeah. So you're gonna still. So it's a hybrid of that, right? Like they're not gonna release a game and say it's for Xbox One family and not function. Like a PC is a little bit more open, where if you buy it, you're fucked if you don't check your settings. So there will be some locking. However, there is enough broadness to it and openness to it that you know that if you get it on the Scorpio, it's going to run fucking 1080p, 60 frames per second, whereas maybe on the Xbox One, it's not the highest quality of graphics. It maybe will run 30 frames per second, right? Like, especially with a competitive...
That right there feels like it's forcing your hand to buy the Scorpio then, to me.
It's the same. It's just the same mentality with a PC. I mean, if you're gonna buy Call of Duty for PC, you need to just know if, like, I would hope that they have a threshold of like, look, for competitive games that are Twitch, you can't go, but like it would just, the game wouldn't sell if it came out and Xbox One owners got 20 frames per second, right? It has to be at least 30 frames per second. Games like now on the console and PC have this bar that you have to hit. And there is an exception that if you have an old PC, then you're like, well, yeah, you're fucked. You just have to get a new PC. And that's fine. But that's like a 10-year gap, right? So that's the mentality there. Is if someone has a 360, right, yeah, you're not going to be able to play this game. But if someone has an Xbox One family and this game is for that family, you have to expect that it has to work 30 frames per second. Because if it doesn't, and I'm talking in the next 5 years, if it doesn't, then that game's not going to sell and they have to support that. In 10 years, maybe we're talking about a different story. It's like, dude, you should probably upgrade. So I think there's some technicality stuff to this. There's some real sensitive like details that they have to hit and announce, and we have to kind of see.
Yeah.
I would hope that's how it works out. Because if it doesn't, I agree. That then what's the point, right? Then I feel like they've failed at their achievement or goal.
I'm just worried because like the whole console development cycle, like the time frame, like you look at a game that made at the very beginning of a console release, and then you look at a game that's made at the end of a console release, like the amount of power that they get out, like the graphical fidelity at the end of the games, like looks so much better than what they do in the very beginning, because they've learned how to like really harness everything on that console and like push it to its maximum. And if you're just like throwing like new hardware at it every single time, then you're not going to get anybody to develop something, like get the time to develop and get like the best out of it. You're not going to get a Last of Us at the end of the console development the same way you did like on PlayStation 3.
From what I understand,
if you're always upgrading the hardware.
From what I understand, is the developers have been there for a bit now. They've hit the end, and they need something more. That's what I understand. So I
can't believe that.
That's what I hear.
These consoles that have only been out for like 4 years, like maybe less, like 3 years, right?
I think
that's what I'm getting. That's what I've read it. I'll try to find something. We do have to move on because we've kind of gone way too far. But it goes right into your topic, Alan, into the Sony conference.
Okay. All right. So I will just pick up pretty much right where Clay left off in the console thing, just to let you guys know. Sony also announced that they are releasing the PlayStation VR. 50 games on launch. From older that are supported for VR. There's a VR mode on any game that will give you kind of like when 3D TVs came out, you could have a 3D mode for anything. Mm-hmm. So there will be at least some level of virtual reality, like three-dimensionality with your games on anything, regardless if it was developed for VR or not.
Rocco's frozen.
And it's 4K as well. So you got all that. I'm not sure about the platform play. I doubt it. As far as I know, there's nothing announced for them doing it between that and PlayStation. I mean, the PC. There is a lot of topics I've seen about Sony saying, hey, we'll have the conversation about letting cross-platform play happen, but they have not committed to it so far. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're thinking about if you're going to get a new PlayStation or new Xbox Scorpio or whatever.
Can I stop you real quick to ask a quick question?
Yeah.
That VR system, is that something that's like going to be added to like the PlayStation 4 or is it an entire
No,
console itself?
it's a new console and it's $399.
Wow.
US dollars.
So it's $100 more than the Xbox Scorpio.
And all it's going to be is like all you can do is just the VR games. That's it. So it's like, or can I play like PlayStation 4 games?
Yeah. You can play PlayStation 4 games on it and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to get an upgrade.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't really care too much.
I mean, it's like the 4K. It's 4K. It's VR. Yeah. Apparently, there's like a co-op supported with the VR as well, so you can have like a friend with like a VR headset next to you as well, doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know how that would work out.
And is it exclusive to a certain type of VR headset?
Because
like Sony, PlayStation VR.
There's a Sony VR. I think it's called PlayStation VR, Sony VR. I think that's just the name of it.
Do you know if it's interchangeable with like other ones that you can find that are better?
I don't know, but I doubt it. I think Jimmy Fallon has like a clip on his YouTube where he like is playing with it. So I would check that out.
Does anybody know the price of a Vive or a Oculus? I believe they're in that price.
It's $500, right?
It's like $400, $500. Yeah.
So it gives you context of what PlayStation 4 is offering when they say VR. I mean, it's the
How
same
much was
price.
The Scorpio?
They don't know yet. They don't have a price point yet.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's why I was asking. You know what I mean? Like also too, because like
I have no idea what you're saying.
Rocco, you're just cutting up.
Okay.
Are people shooting in Afghanistan? Or?
Hey, you got to tell us with interpretive dance.
we can't even.
Okay.
Oh no, you just messed everything up.
Okay, Alan, sorry.
All right, I'm just going to keep going, talk about the rest of the conference. The conference kicked off with the president having some words, kind of a sincere moment about the Orlando shooting. Sony supports their LGBTQ community for gamers. They've always been supportive of that. And then I thought what was really cool in the conference is that all of the trailers they showed were scored by a live orchestra. So
that was cool. I did like that.
The orchestra on site played the music for every single game trailer they showed, which was really cool because it was funny. Like this guy walked out and everybody started cheering, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And then all of a sudden he like busts out like the conductor thing, and it's just like dun, 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 dun,
that was badass.
That's so good.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool. I mean, very Sony like style to have like the cinema and like the overall ambiance of the show be done that way. So yeah, let's talk about games. First thing I want to point out, and this is kind of interesting, every single game, Ian was just like, yo, fuck this shit, I hate orchestras. Every single game here, I'm pretty sure, is an RPG. So they had no announcements for first-person shooter games. They had no announcements for sports games. Every single thing is an RPG. So I let that tell you what you want. You can interpret that however you want. The climate right now really seems to be pushing RPG games, though, in general. So
that's good, though.
Interesting. Yeah, we forgot to talk about Titanfall. That's coming out from Microsoft.
Yes.
You guys still haven't even mentioned the game that I'm freaking more excited
about. Yeah. We'll get to it. So the first game we'll talk about on my list, though, they announced Resident Evil 7.
No, that was not it.
So all they announced was a trailer, and it was cinematic. It was not a gameplay trailer for the Resident Evil game. Yeah. And the thing about this one was that it was very scary. It is VR, yeah. It is VR. It is very scary. Lots of like creepy ambiance to it. Like has a very Silent Hills look to it, which I don't know if you guys remember was the
I remember that game. That game was freaky as shit.
Yeah.
There was a new one that was supposed to come out by I think it was Hideo Kojima that was supposed to do it
with Norman Reedus.
With Norman Reedus, and that got canned because he got fired from Konami. Anyway, this game looks to be picking up that vibe where it's super creepy rather than the kind of more actiony RPG way that the most recent Resident Evil games have been.
That's cool.
Where it's much more of like an action horror game rather than a creepy horror game. And I think that scary element is pretty trendy right now, the horror survival thing. Yeah. There's lots of games coming out like that, so they're definitely hitting that mark, bringing people back to the Resident Evil games that are interested in that, as well as the fans of the original game.
And horror and VR go really well together.
Yeah, I mean, I would shit my pants if I was playing those games, because I can't even watch somebody play those like creepy games.
Did you guys see the Paranormal Activity one that they did?
No.
Oh my god, dude! They did a Paranormal Activity one where like you're literally in a house and you're trying to get out like this, and like things like they're like, "What was that?" And you turn around and things like right in your face. People are dropping on the ground.
No way. There's
Like,
no way I would ever be able
like
to do that.
this. Like it just, oh, dude, I can imagine playing it in VR. Like
VR
literally looking down at your hands. You're putting batteries into flashlights, and dude, it's like, it's
man.
pretty crazy.
See, like that stuff makes me excited for a VR console.
Yeah, like,
that would be
do that
cool.
in VR.
Yeah. Now, did you guys play Silent Hill?
Yeah, I played it.
The older ones, I played it.
I hated it at first because I was sitting there like, you don't get a weapon? Like, how the fuck do I get away from this thing? Like, I'm like hiding behind a wall, like, what? You know, it's just like crazy.
I was playing it one night when I was young, years and years ago, and I just remember it was late at night, and I walked into the bathroom, and it did this cut scene, like, and screamed, and I literally just threw my controller in the air. I was like, fuck this game. It's like 1 in the morning. I am not playing this anymore. Turned on every light in the house and went to sleep.
Yeah.
That sort of gameplay is just not for me. I just like too scared to play those games. Like I like shit my pants within like the first 5 minutes of them.
You guys still need to do that for me. I was only.
Yeah, you guys play it. Let me know how it is. I'll like watch your YouTube like stream of it. Okay. Cool. All right, next game I want to talk about. This one's pretty interesting. New IP. It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. And so I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this one.
It's amazing.
It starts off with the female protagonist. And it looks like she's in some sort of kind of ancient, maybe, I don't know, like survival setting, like prehistoric perhaps. And then all of a sudden you see what the creatures are talking about, and it's actually robots. That it gives a very strong like Jurassic Park vibe. Mm-hmm. In the trailer, at least, you know, when you like in the very first Jurassic Park, when they're out on the plains and you see like all the dinosaurs walking together. So they have like huge scale, small robot dinosaurs, gigantic robot dinosaurs, and then the gameplay looks to be, to me, like the trailer was really intriguing. But then when I saw the gameplay trailer, still looks great visually, graphics are great, gameplay looks really fun, but it still feels very similar to games that we have right now. There's nothing quite so innovative about it. It looks like an Uncharted, it looks like a Shadows of Mordor, Tomb Raider, that style of RPG, you know, where you got your bow, you got your stuff running around, you can get on a mount, you know, go over different areas, open world feel to it. I was watching the trailer, the gameplay trailer, and Yukiko was like, this looks like that Red Dead whatever game.
Red Dead Redemption?
She's not even a gamer, but she like looks at that and was just like, oh, you know, I've seen a game that you play that looks exactly like that. So that was one element. Even though it looks cool, I'm not sure if the gameplay is going to be like revolutionary or anything. But if you like those type of games, it looks like you might, you know, somebody might really enjoy that. And then the story I'm imagining is going to be about surrounding where are these machines coming from, because nobody seems to know.
Right.
So. The aesthetic is really cool with the kind of prehistoric look, and then all of a sudden this crazy technological robot style thing. And it looks like they have a lot of like boss battles. You know, you got to hit the weak points to bring down the bigger monsters, things like that. So, looks like a cool game for the most part, but again, nothing revolutionary.
That's cool.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Next game, Spider-Man.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just want to talk about this for a second because when I saw they were going to announce Spider-Man, I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm not a big fan of like superhero stuff in general. A Spider-Man game doesn't sound that exciting. Then I watched a trailer for it. Okay.
Yeah.
This one was probably one of the coolest trailers that I watched.
Yeah.
Yukiko watched it with me. She was like, "This looks awesome."
Yeah.
So that is crazy when it's somebody from non-gamer perspective. The gameplay looks really fun. There's like it's kind of interspersed between the actual cinematic, the art direction, and the graphics. Like I couldn't tell if they were good. Sometimes I thought they were really good. Sometimes I thought they were really bad. It was really hard to judge from the trailer. But it looks like kind of middle of the road, even though I think the aesthetic is really there. And not only that, but the trailer music really evoked like a great superhero vibe, like you're out there doing good.
Totally.
And the voice acting is definitely in the teenage Spider-Man realm.
Yes.
I almost thought it was Tom Holland when they started playing it, the guy who's playing the new Spider-Man in Avengers movie, or Captain America.
Yeah,
is it supposed to be like a sandbox game like the other ones, or?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It looks little Sam. I mean, obviously you're going to be like web slinging all over the place,
Right,
and that
right.
looks great. Like it looks so much
really,
fun.
it's really fluid. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
he's just,
PS4
like, jumping-
exclusive, and I'm super jelly.
Yeah, he jumps through like a cafe, and he's just like bouncing off people's like tables, and then he like jumps off like a wall, and then like crashes through the window, and then just fucking grabs like the building next to him and just pulls himself through with the webs.
It was just
I mean, it looks like you would have a blast playing it. For
like
sure.
I was never a fan of like the Spider-Man games. I did it one time, and like I hated it. Like it was so, just like.
You didn't play Spider-Man 1 then, because Spider-Man 1 was really good.
Really?
But 2 was a little bit worse,
okay.
and 3 was bad.
I'm excited about this one. Like when I saw it, I'm like, holy, this looks fucking awesome. Like
exactly.
This is great.
Like not having any interest in it, I was just like, fuck, I gotta watch the Spider-Man trailer. Like, okay, well, I gotta do my research, whatever. And then like the second it started, I was like, this is so amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was
like a lot of fun. So definitely one of the.
And it wasn't like one of those trailers like where it wasn't showing gameplay. The whole entire thing was gameplay.
Yeah.
Like it was like, and I'm like, holy shit, this looks like a trailer. Like this looks fucking awesome. Like
2 really quick notes. I don't know if you were about to say it, but it's made by the guys. It's made by Insomniac, who have made Sunset Overdrive and I think Ratchet and Clank, right?
Ratchet and Clank is the other big game.
Yeah, so that's awesome. It's PS4 exclusive, super jelly. And then people have been shitting on that costume. Man, I actually like it.
I like the costume.
I actually kind of
I thought it was pretty good.
Like the white.
I mean,
I like the mechanical eyes.
I feel strong or not about it, but I thought it was cool. I thought it looked nice.
Yeah. And I'm a hardcore Spider-Man fan, so like it's cool. I like it. I like the change.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Anything else you guys talk about Spider-Man?
I'm just
gonna keep breaking down like the games.
I was like, I might need to buy a PS4 for this game. I really want to play this game.
The game looks awesome.
All right, next game I want to talk about is The Last Guardian. So this is the one that ties into what you were talking about, Rocco, Shadow of the Colossus. This game relies on a very similar aesthetic. So if you've played Shadow of the Colossus or seen the gameplay before, you'll look at this and be like, oh my gosh, this looks like it came from the same universe. And I think there's a thread between those 3 games by the same guy that made them. Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, and then this game is what I'm guessing, because they all have a similar aesthetic. So a couple things that are interesting about this game. I think it's been at least 6+ years now since it was been announced. Yeah. So it's been in development for a crazy long time. Yeah. I think it was supposed to come out at the end of PS3 cycle. So that is a little worrisome in some ways, because who knows like how it's evolved from developing for a different console to a new console. However,
Rocco, you're looking good, by the way.
Yeah, you came back. So the one thing you need to judge is that within the amount of time, there's a certain amount of hype and expectation versus the anticipation and the development time that you're a little worried. You're like, can they deliver on everything that people have been hoping for 6 years?
Right.
Chances are, a lot of times when you play a game that you've been waiting for that long, it's not going to meet up your expectations. We've talked about the same thing with Star Citizen. You know, like if you have that much time, you're just thinking about all the amazing things that's going to happen, but you have no idea if it's actually going to deliver. The cool thing is in this game, you have some sort of like pet. It's like half dog, half bird.
This guy.
I don't know. Oh, he's making a stop. Yeah, there he is.
He's getting your trash.
He's getting your trash now, Steve.
The other guy's like leaving him. Yeah, there you go.
He just pours it out in your yard.
Yeah. It's gonna be like there's that one that just like grabs the thing and just starts spraying it everywhere.
And the thing is like you can literally grab the one across the street, but no, he's gonna go around and come back around like. Yeah.
Okay, so Last Guardian.
Okay, so Last Guardian. I'm excited for it. There have been some hands-on reactions from it at E3. The couple concerns about it: the camera controls very similar to Shadow of the Colossus, where it doesn't feel quite very responsive. To me, and this is a personal preference, I didn't mind that, especially in Shadow of the Colossus, because most people complain about when you're controlling your horse, and I kind of like that it was a little unresponsive, because it felt like you're actually controlling an animal that has a bit of its own mind, and so it felt more realistic, yeah. And so I think that's cool when you have like a wild animal scenario that you can't really get it to do exactly what you want it to do, It can be frustrating if you're doing like a puzzle piece where you have to make a specific jump or something like that, but at the same time, I kind of like that aspect to it. The second worry is that it still has stuttering even on the PlayStation 4, and it's been in development for this long.
Oh my god.
So
Wow.
I think that's some things they can iron out. I think it doesn't come out until October 17th. So there's still chances, but the fact that it's been, in development this long, you'd think they'd have that kind of stuff ironed out by now. So a little hesitant. However, for me, who loves Shadow of the Colossus and the whole aesthetic and the story, it's probably a purchase for me, as well as Spider-Man and probably Horizon Zero Dawn. Resident Evil, I'll leave that to you guys. Okay, I'll go into my next game. Steve-O, I think this is
probably it.
So, this was, I want to say this was one of the very first games they showed off in the conference.
Yes,
and it started off, and it's this kid, again, this looks like some sort of Nordic kind of primal setting, and he's playing with some,
no, this isn't it.
Like axe or whatever. And then from the shadows, out steps Kratos, the god of war. And he has full beard. He's old, so this is like old man Kratos.
Yeah.
You know, everything you expect. However, the setting, like I said, very Nordic. Does not look related to Greek or anything at all. So it looks very Skyrim aesthetic to it in general.
Yes.
So now, I haven't played this series much. I remember maybe playing one of the games on PlayStation 3 a little bit.
I played them all
so,
too.
Yeah, so if you guys know it, then I'm sure you got super hyped. Like the second he stepped out of the shadows in the trailer, and this is a gameplay trailer, keep in mind.
It is.
Everybody in the audience just lost their shit. They were just like losing their minds. Yukiko watched this gameplay trailer with me, and she thought it was the one thing she said that was really funny. And because he has I'm guessing his son and then Kratos, the kid looks terrible, like graphically. I don't know what it is. He looks like Uncanny Valley out the ass, okay?
Right.
And Yukiko was just like,
it's
this
unbelievable
kid ruins
a little
the
bit.
game.
Yeah.
Like, this kid ruins it. She's like, that's literally what she said. She was like, it just ruins it. And I kind of, like, as the gameplay trailer went on, I was like, yeah, she's kind of right. Like, they just didn't spend as much time with this kid as they did with Kratos, because he's the iconic guy, right?
It probably doesn't have, like, a lot of significance in it going forward,
well,
probably. I'm thinking maybe
actually, let me just mention something that somebody, a Reddit user, pointed out.
You will be the kid while you play.
Yes. So they're thinking. Somebody theorized. They were like, okay, this is probably going to be like Last of Us. Like first you play as Kratos, then you're going to play as the kid. Go back and forth. And then somebody pointed out this, and this is very important. The XP being gained during the gameplay trailer is all going to the kid.
So you might have the kid with you the entire time, though.
Some people are thinking actually that Kratos will be killed early on in the game, and then you take over as the kid,
Can I
as
say
the new
something?
Kratos, the new God of War, who's getting revenge for his murdered
No
father.
Last of Us spoilers.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Just one thing about this that I'm gonna love. Remember, he just said that it was a lot of Nordic feel to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be gods, Odin and Thor, are probably in it,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be facing off against these guys.
That's what I've read.
That's why I was like, oh my god. When I read that, I was like, holy shit, this is gonna be fucking sick. Like,
and apparently he's training. I thought, this is that he's training his kid to become the next God of War.
It looks like his son. I don't know if he ever says son, but he says, "Come on, like you need to come feed your family." And then they have like
he said something about his mother.
cool fight scenes. Yeah, there's like big monsters that you like.
Well, it was because because I was kind of worried about that. I was kind of wondering about that too, because I thought in the original God of War he slaughtered his entire family.
Yeah, right.
So
he's like tricked by
but you have sex with so many other people.
But then later on in the games, he had a daughter too that he was treating right too.
I wasn't sure about that too, because I remember his family was killed. I mean, he is old now, so
maybe he had a different family.
Yeah.
Something happened to his wife.
Knocked up some other chick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, God of War, dude, he bangs who he wants when he wants.
That's it. Yeah.
That's how you get life.
Little rapey vibe, you know.
That's how you get life, though. Remember the game?
The only thing is, I love the Nordic setting for this game just because it's totally not what the typical God of War games are.
It
but
needed a
I think
refresh.
The Nordic setting is a little outdated in my opinion. Like everything feels like it's like been like that since Skyrim came out. Like everybody's kind of on that bandwagon. So, and not that I don't like that aesthetic, but it's just putting it out there that I see a lot of games that have that.
Oh, and Rocco, I had a giant dragon too.
Oh yeah, at the very end, it kind of seems like perhaps you ride this dragon. I don't know.
I think there's an article that says that God of War could have took place in Egypt, and I kind of wish it would have went there.
Oh, that would be really cool, actually.
They were saying they want to go. They want to go a lot of people were saying they should do that next or something like that, like in Egypt. So.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
I was just gonna say I always liked the Greek kind of aspect of it.
Yeah.
But that was it.
But the Nordic side's gonna be good.
Yeah, you gotta change it up.
Yeah. All right, going to the next one. This is another new IP. This is called Days Gone.
You gotta give a better like announcement than that. Like this looks fucking awesome. That's the game I was talking about.
I'm doing my take on this. Okay?
It's his topic. Back off, Steve.
So Days Gone. All right, this one was announced with a cinematic trailer with a voiceover by the main protagonist. And it sounds, he sets up this kind of post-apocalyptic feel. Something's happened in this world, like everything's kind of gone to shit. The typical setup. And then it shows him on a motorcycle, and it's kind of that, what's the series, what's the TV show? Sons of Anarchy. So he's a biker. He's like that style biker, right? So that's a little different than the Dead Rising. And then later on, they announced, or they showed off the gameplay. So I thought the voiceover trailer was pretty cool. Definitely like evoked a lot of story, like a lot of world building going on to it. However, personally, I'm not a big fan of like the whole biker look, like especially as a protagonist. I like don't really connect with that at all. So from my perspective, playing as that kind of character was just okay. The gameplay, however, is not very similar, but more on the Left 4 Dead or Dead Rising side rather than the aim for the head. Yeah, Last of Us, like get the one shot, one kill for the zombies. Because in this one, there are hordes of zombies. It's like World War Z, if you guys know that movie.
Yeah.
World War Z levels of zombies just fucking pouring out of everywhere. And
I'm kind of surprised zombies is sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like zombies. It's like still popular. Like I don't know if people are burnt out on it yet, but I'm kind of getting tired of all these zombie games. Another couple things that from the gameplay trailer, the gun sounds were terrible. There's like no weight, impact. It's just like
and the reload isn't realistic either.
Yeah, everything was pretty meh in that sense. I think the animation and the fluidity of the gameplay was really good. Like it's not like where you have to push X to duck under this, push Y to jump over here. It's very fluid, kind of naturally go up to something. And using the environment is a big way to take out lots of zombies. So at different times he like just runs by a crate,
like a gas canister, or
and stuff, and just like slices. No, he slices like ropes. Then all these like boxes fall, and it felt very fluid. And then another time he like puts some explosives next to a stack of logs, and then as the zombies come to it, he detonates that, and all the logs like wipe out the zombies. So there's some cool elements to it. Taking a little bit more in depth than
was the world fully like engageable or?
Yeah, it is. The world is. It's open world.
Fully engageable.
Yeah, it looks like an open world type game where you'll probably be riding your motorcycle wherever you want to go.
But I mean, can you interact with the entire world? Like, it's like every rope and every box and everything.
At one point in the gameplay, he opened up a hood of a car and put like an oil filter on his gun. So what happens is like you can. They said that they made the game so if you want to be a stealthy character, you can be a stealthy character.
Right.
And like they said that you got to run this way, and then the zombies are gonna come this way. You got to run this way. No, you can take different ways if you want to. Everything's a different scenario. They said so. If you want to be a stealthy kind of player, you can be a stealthy kind of player. If you want to be one of those guys that come in Rambo shooting off, you can be that guy.
It looks pretty interactive overall for the world. Overall,
let's take a look at it.
I probably wouldn't pick it up. Again, this is another RPG that looks very similar to an Uncharted, to a Shadow of the Colossus.
But not with the quality. It sounds like
Shadow of the Mordor, Tomb Raider. I mean, it was polished. It was certainly polished, but again, the art direction, nothing special.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about.
It should be polished. They've been working on it for 3 years, and they still don't have a release date.
Jeez.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was doing my research on that game a lot, too.
Yeah, so that's probably one I'll skip, but again, another RPG. Cool. Next one I want to talk about, Clay, you already mentioned it, Death Stranding. So this is the Hideo Kojima New game. It just starts off with a really trippy cinematic where Norman Reedus is naked on the beach, and he has an umbilical cord attached to a baby, and he wakes up and he grabs this baby, and then it disappears, and his hands are covered in oil, and then there's oil prints on the ground of the baby crawling away. Then he stands up. The camera pans around him, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is looks exactly like Norman Reedus." Like Yukiko was like, "Is this a real game or is this a video or what is going on?"
Yeah.
And then it pans around, and then you see this entire ocean beach area has all these creatures that have beached themselves, like whales, dolphins, crabs. Everything's dead on the beach. And this is, by the way, I just was curious about this. This is a real thing that happens. These mammals beaching themselves, like whales and dolphins and stuff, and nobody really knows why. So it's kind of an intriguing concept for a trailer to be like, what the fuck is going on? On top of the fact that he had an umbilical cord attached to a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Naked.
Not to mention,
I mean, there's all kinds of weird shit in this trailer. So I was just like totally intrigued. I really want to know what type of game it is because there's nothing to show what sort of gameplay. However, the type of developer, I'm guessing it's RPG-ish because his previous games are that way. So we'll have to wait and see. There's nothing else announced for it.
They're really more action. I don't like the last one was RPG-ish, but Metal Gear tend to be action oriented.
Okay.
Not
yeah,
less
so I haven't
RPG
played his
stats.
games either, so I wasn't sure. I was hoping you could kind of shed them. Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants at this point, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah. Okay, next one I want to do, this is an indie game, and this one, to me, is either the best trailer or the second best after the Spider-Man, and it's called Bound. So this one looks like to be the journey of this E3 in terms of the indie developments, the very particular art style. It has incredible music through this whole trailer. You guys probably you should watch this one just because I got chills like watching this one because it's just beautiful. The music on it is incredible. I think that's a big strength of Sony. It's called Bound.
Bound. Okay.
Yeah. That's a big strength of Sony is the indie games community. They always seem to have a lot of great award-winning indie developers. This one is done by a Polish studio, and they're working under the Santa Monica Studio umbrella. And Santa Monica Studio does everything from the original God of War games all the way to like Hohokum, like all these super indie games that you can buy on PlayStation Store. So they have an incredible library that I think they can. I mean, Journey was one done under the Santa Monica Studio umbrella. So I think this is a game that I will certainly buy the second it comes out because it hits the niche that I like exactly. So definitely check that trailer out. It's half gameplay, half cinematic. Let me know what you think because I thought it was probably one of the better trailers of the whole conference. Last game I want to talk about, Final Fantasy 15.
Ian.
Yeah, I knew you would be excited. I have never played any of the Final Fantasy games, as you guys know. However, this one from the trailer, I thought looked pretty cool, to be honest. Like
I haven't seen any of it, so
it's all real time, so there's no more turn-based element to it. You're just like a guy running around, and it still seems to have, like use your skills, but the interactivity is really cool. It actually feels more like the Division's level of RPG-ness, because it's like enemies don't die in one hit. It takes like they take damage. They have like health pools and everything like that. So it felt more that MMO style where you're running around, but very actiony, like crazy scale. Like there's gigantic monsters that you have to fight. Then there's like low level, one-on-one human stuff. It still maintains that super Japanese look. Everybody's hair is like perfectly crisp, like over their eye and everything.
Kind of like Alan sometimes.
I will say that the original 15 demo did not impress me at all, but this thing hit a chord with me that felt so cool.
Again, this was one of those where I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. I have to know what it's like. And I was like, wow, this actually doesn't look too bad. And this is going to be supported with the VR, so you'll be able to play this one VR, which is awesome considering the scale the game has and the action element where you're constantly moving around and you're not like, now I do this skill. And then you wait, and the enemy attacks you, and then now I do my next skill. So I think that one could be pretty good, and a good contender for using the PlayStation VR.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so last couple of things I just want to wrap it out on the Sony conference. They're doing a Crash Bandicoot remaster of the original games. Naughty Dog, I realized, was the developers of Crash Bandicoot. So that's cool. I didn't know that. They're the guys that do Uncharted and Last of Us, so seems like
isn't that crazy? That's where they started.
from him, yeah. There was another one called Gravity Rush 2. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the first one, but this was like a very Japanese-looking game that has pretty cool art direction, gameplay. I might be one if you get like for
Rocco's got a mean mug right now.
10, 15.
Is he frozen?
10 or 15 bucks.
Yeah.
Like they're frozen. And then this is another game they announced, and this is a new IP. It's called Detroit Become Human, and it's kind of interesting. It's all detective gameplay, so you're searching around for clues, and you play as an android. But what's the most interesting part about it is you play as multiple characters throughout the whole game. They're all androids, and you can die as your playable character, but the game isn't over. You don't restart or anything. You just are, that character's dead, and the story continues to move forward based on what kind of decisions you made. So it's all about decisions, and it looks like the iterations of decisions. It's not just like A, B, or C. There's like maybe 20 for each decision you can make. So the trailer shows like this hostage situation, and he says it one way, and then the hostage gets killed as well as the bad guy, and you're like, oh shit, like that's it. And then at the very end of the trailer, it shows the same scene happening, and he has different responses and different things play out. And it's just incredible like how many different iterations they have. So that's kind of cool, even though the gameplay is not something I usually play, like a detective figuring out the clues, but the whole like playing different characters who are kind of expendable almost will be interesting to see how deep the story goes. I think it's super story driven.
I'd have to pass on that one just because LA Noire burned me so bad.
Is that the developer?
No, LA Noire was a
game.
Rockstar game that was very detective driven, that you're in old LA, and it was just, the concept was good, but it fell apart.
I would at least give it a shot from the trailer. Again, we all know E3 trailers, they can be deceptive, but I would at least give it a shot because it was one that I watched the first minute or so, and I was like, Android, whatever, I don't give a shit. I turned it off. And then last night I watched it again, and I was like, holy shit, like, I'm glad I watched this because this would have been one I missed. I certainly would have missed if I hadn't watched it all.
Hell yeah.
So overall, I think they had really good. Sony had a really good conference. The games were definitely above like EA, Bethesda's announcements. I think Microsoft.
Like Watch Dogs 2 was something they announced that we didn't really talk about, but I wasn't too thrilled on it.
Ones. This one had like quite a few new games as well as continuation sequels. So I like that. There was like a good mix. Fan service and then also new fans. So overall, I think Sony was one of the better announced presentations throughout the whole E3 conference.
Yeah, they packed a big punch. It was good.
Yeah.
What about Nintendo?
Okay, so talking about packing a big punch and not packing a big punch. All right, so for Nintendo, there's like good news and there's bad news. For the bad news, Nintendo didn't really have too much to offer out there besides one of its main titles. There was a little bit here and there, like things like Pokemon Moon and like some different a Pokemon game. I guess essentially kind of makes me feel like it's Pokemon Arena from back in N64 days, just a little bit revised. But the good news for Nintendo is Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is the game that was announced. That was like it's been in the making for quite a few years now, about 4.5 years. It looked great. Like, I'm a Zelda fan. I love playing Zelda games during the 64 stages and stuff like that. And this feels like they've cranked it up a lot. First off, the map feels enormous compared to what it normally feels like. Or
it's like an Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim.
Yeah, so it's
massive, really? That open world?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
It's more like
massive open world. Huh?
But it's Zelda, you said?
Yeah, it's Zelda. So Rocco was describing Nintendo basically had two games, a new Pokemon set of games, which is fine and dandy, but then the new Zelda game coming out.
So
that's pretty cool.
Honestly, Nintendo didn't pack too much of a punch here in the E3, but what they did, the Breath of the Wild did take over the whole expo, and it should have realistically, because this game was, like we were talking about, it's extremely large. The map is extremely large, and it has a bunch of different environments too as well. Have you guys seen the movie recently, Zootopia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how Zootopia has all these different environments involved in the city. You've got the rainforest, and you've got the freezing Arctic, and you've got all these other locations. This kind of seemed like it had that too involved in its map, and that it to me it feels like if they're going to have all these different variations in their environments, I'm hoping that they're going to feel different too. So when you go to these locations, they're not going to play the same. You're not going to have like something that's just copy and pasted from just to make the map bigger.
Right.
I feel like it's going to make it
with different colors. Yeah.
Right, not just different colors. That's what I'm saying. Not just switching out the colors and it's kind of the same map and same place. I think they're going to be different and feel different because they have like that physics engine involved too as well. So there might be like ice area, it might be like some slab.
Were the graphics do they look any newer kind of?
They do. They look new. They look good. I think they look good. It's for the Wii U. So for me,
it's hard to understand you a bit, Rocco, because you're still choppy. I will say, just to piggyback off him, that it's probably the best Wii U graphics, also stylized, so keep that in mind. It's not like realistic, so they get away with a lot more. I mean, it just looks like what you would expect a Zelda game to look like these days. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got a very strong influence from Wind Waker in its like brushstrokes and its color.
Sorry, what game is it again?
The new Zelda game.
Zelda.
Now you said it's for Wii U. Can you still have it just for the Wii? Is that compatible? I'm not sure.
I don't believe they're backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Which Wii U and the Wii. And one thing too is that when Star Fox came out, it was a big deal about it was only exclusive to a certain controller and stuff like that. But the Zelda is said to not be like that. It's not going to be. You can only play it on the gamepad style like control. You can use the other controller, the Wii controllers if you want to and whatnot. So that's kind of a big deal too. Not just that, but there's a lot to this game. It wasn't just like the landscape looked good and the art direction looked good too as well. But there's a lot more like an interchangeable armor and weapons, which is something a little bit different. Like there's going to be like you can do cooking and stuff like that, and you're gonna have durability on your armor too.
So they're really pushing that full RPG character building element.
That would be pretty cool.
Like, it almost makes you feel like they're building this game towards the older Zelda player. You know what I mean? Not so much that young player anymore as they're like, hey, we're trying to target the audience that is in their 30s and have played Zelda from the day one, and they're going to feel like they're going to play this game and enjoy it. And there's going to be a little complexity to it, that it's not just going to be some simple game to play.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Yeah. I was just going to say is that my dad, he's a huge Zelda fan. And I mean, my dad's in his 60s. And he always tells me, he's like, man, I just wish there was a game that came out that kind of complemented that old Zelda-style game. So I might even try to get that for him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it looks really good, too. It honestly looks like a really good game. So they have the normal like Zelda puzzle kind of deal involved in it, where your classic style puzzles you're gonna have to solve and whatnot. But they have some new things too as well. So like I know climbing was involved in some of it, but the climbing now kind of feels and looks like it's like Spider-Man games that we were talking about, or it looks like Assassin's Creed style games. So it's like good mechanics involved. They also have like hang gliding as a thing now, so you can hang glide like between different. What is this? 6 minutes left. Okay. So quickly, here we go.
What's the name of it, real fast? What's the
Zelda? It's the Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. Okay.
So you got hang gliding you can do nowadays, which is kind of cool too as well. A new feature that's involved that it's something that you weren't seeing in the other Zelda games before. Where were they left off at? The timeline, I guess, like that's something that was mentioned before in a few different articles and different things. I'm not exactly sure about where the timeline is, and I don't think a lot of other people had a good understanding yet, unless Clay has the answer.
There is speculation that this Zelda, it takes 100 years, like 100 years have passed. There's rust on the Master Sword, and so rust is a key hint. He wakes up, and there's like water or something like that. And so a lot of people are so there are a lot of people are speculating that he was dead, and that this could be the continuation timeline of when Link died in the Ocarina, because it splits in the timeline. So he could be resurrected or something, or this is also directly after, like 100 years after Wind Waker, which would actually make sense in its style, and the drainage and the rust, because the world gets like engulfed in water, right? So this would make sense that like it's drained, and now a new adventure is starting.
So one
that's
thing I
kinda
did see too as well, something to kind of let you guys know, like a little bit about the gameplay, like combat-wise. I did see like an exchange happen that looked kind of exciting. It was like he was running in, he was going to kill. I forget what he was trying to fight off, some type of NPC. He was firing off with his bow and arrow first, and was like charging while shooting with his bow and arrow, and then jumped in and switched immediately to his axe and like started hitting with his axe. So it feels like it's gonna be very fluid. It's gonna play really well. It's not gonna be choppy in different ways. I think it's gonna play like the RPGs like we were saying nowadays are kind of the norm and the go-tos for games. I think they're really trying to work to I guess please the older Zelda gamer, and make it so that they feel like there's no transition between playing the U game and something else.
I'm watching the trailer. This totally gives a Shadow of the Colossus vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. It's very. I like it a lot, honestly.
But this game is essentially. I like to point out that this game is essentially. How much is the Wii U? It's like,
the Wii U.
$300.
I'm actually not sure. Yeah, something I think.
So this is essentially a $360 game. Because I don't have a Wii U, and I purposely didn't buy it, and this is the only game I would buy a Wii U for, and it's really like a barrier for me. I can't spend $360 for one game, unfortunately, because this actually looks like the best Zelda to come out in a while.
Kind of the older gamer and stuff like that, like in our age, you know what I mean, a little bit older or whatnot. That would work for me because I got children that the Wii U. I can find other games that would work really well for them, and they would enjoy it as well. So it's just kind of like, oh, now I can squeeze in my Zelda game, you know what I mean, and like be able to enjoy that. But if I didn't, I probably would feel the same way as you. That's a $360 game. Do I really want that? And that's the only thing. I mean, I don't know how much of an audience they have the Wii U that is still involved with the Wii, that they're like, oh, we're down for that Zelda.
And that's the other thing is the Next is coming out. So is this game going to be a one and done? And then exactly. If it works for the Next, and the Next is intriguing. Yeah, maybe I'll jump on.
So it really wasn't that much of a big punch coming out from the Nintendo side.
Yeah,
but
I'm watching the trailer too. That's awesome.
From what I saw, I do like. I think that the Zelda game does look impressive to me.
That's a big bomb though, for sure.
It is a big bomb.
Letting everybody know about New Zelda, because that's most beloved probably franchise out there.
And you know what? They look like they stepped it up too. So it's like it looks like it did improve too. So it wasn't just like they put it out there and it was just a POS, and you're like, why the hell did you do that? This is something that looks good, and it looks like gameplay that I'd even enjoy. Being like I'm saying, being an adult nowadays. I don't know if you guys have picked up the N64 and played Zelda and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're like, this is just it's too easy. The gameplay, yada yada. So hopefully this would be something that would give you that challenge and make you kind of like retouch your memories as a child.
Yeah, it's got a lot of exploration and things that somebody mentioned this in one of the reviews. It was like every time a rupee comes out, it's not like the UI is very clean, and every time you get a rupee, it's not like, hey, these are rupees, you can do blah blah blah. Like it's like, yeah, okay, you get this game, now just go and have fun and explore and enjoy. So there's a lot of reveals and systems that really arc back to the original Zelda as well as the modernization of games today.
Yeah, and there's some cool mechanics, survival mechanics that they involve too, like the hunting and the cooking and stuff like that. Like I was telling you, equipment durability. These are things that they didn't have before. That's really made me into that Skyrim that.
I can't.
That. Am I out again?
You're a little out. Basically, you're just describing the other various mechanics like cooking and building a fire. Like if you have a piece of firewood, there's a crafting system in this game. It's a little bit. It's light, which I think is appropriate. But if you find a piece of wood and a flint in a cave, you push those. You just put them together, and then boom, a fireplace loads up. And then you could cook. It's pretty cool. I like it. I think it would be very interesting. Rocco, if there's nothing too big, I know we're running low on time.
Yeah.
Did you want to maybe wrap up?
Yeah, I'm done.
Do you have any last thoughts? Okay, that's it.
No. I was like, sure, I'm probably not coming in the best either. So I mean, let's.
Okay, sorry about that, man. Let's move on to Steve-O's topic, the final topic. Bad boy.
Final topic. Okay, the best.
It's the final topic.
Oh, that'd be great if we hear that every time the final topic starts.
Yeah,
so good. Yeah,
we're terrible already with the entertainment, gigs. So, yeah, we'll see.
The final topic. I love it. I love it.
Okay. So, sorry, I can't
Hey,
get
you
it out
can't
of
just
my
let it go.
No, I can't. So let's see.
Oh man.
I saw that.
Hey, what's up? So my topic's gonna be as far as E3's best and worst, besides Aisha's puns and weird just
It's
comments,
awkward.
everything,
It's
and then
awkward.
and as
Yeah,
far
no.
as the intro with the tribute to David Bowie's Just Dance and people dressed in tiger outfits and
What? I did
yeah.
not hear about any of this.
You didn't see any of this stuff?
No.
I didn't see it.
No, like
What are
that.
these puns?
Oh yeah, well they're
Yeah, I
just,
mean, it was a little bit better, but
It's Aisha Tyler. I mean, I watch Whose Line Is It Anyways, like all the time. I like the new show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you know who
yeah.
Aisha Tyler.
she voices
Yeah,
Lana in Archer. She's
Yeah.
really funny, but for
No,
whatever
she is.
reason,
Hilarious.
this
But whoever's writing her jokes in this. Oh, seven. Like, what is he getting?
Where is he's fucking high as
I
shit.
swear.
That guy.
You guys,
Why?
I
He's like getting something across the street. Why did he not grab
Again.
that the last time?
drove through. No, he drove through.
I'll tell you what he does. He's worked out
Oh,
some
now
way
he's
to
getting somebody. He's getting somebody.
screw the system that he just just in the house in different areas.
all right,
Oh,
Steve.
that's
So the
what that is.
that's
Crap.
so the best
Okay.
and worst.
All right, so the best they said was basically the Xbox versus the new Xbox Scorpio. They're saying about the 4K Blu-ray player, basically. I guess I forgot what 4K exactly means for the Blu-ray.
It's
Is it
just
just
a
for like
resolution.
4K
Means
resolution?
no
But you need a 4K TV, right? Wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Which Rocco?
And that's the problem I have right now is having a 4K TV, but not a piece of equipment that can upgrade
That can-
to it. So
yeah.
I'm
Oh, I
getting
feel
no
so sorry for you, Rocco.
Oh yeah.
I feel so sorry for you.
How do you survive?
Yes.
If I could smack you through the internet, I'd sure something.
So
Oh,
would people agree with? What does that fall under? What category? Announcement? Biggest announcement?
Well, they said the best, like the best things that come out of E3.
Okay.
And they said the worst.
Well, I would-
What about what are your opinion on?
Yeah.
What's the best and the worst?
My
I want to get inside your brain, Steve.
Well,
I
of course,
wanna
my-
pick your mind.
my best would be the announcement of the God of War. Definitely.
Okay.
Second coming in with because I did kind of I read more into the storyline as far as Days Gone,
Okay.
and I did kind of like the whole biker aspect of it. Cause it kind of reminded me of Daryl from The Walking
Totally.
Dead. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So and he's like he's my favorite character actually. So he was talking about like the whole brotherhood aspect. Cause this is only 2 years.
Yeah.
in the future. But it's all based up as in I think northwest, the desert area, type in Nevada. That's
Okay.
what it's like all based upon. So you're gonna get a lot of potholes and the roads kind of look overward. But he kind of wants to keep that brotherhood
Right.
aspect and everything like that. Keep
The
part of
biker
his,
brotherhood thing. Yeah.
right? And I did kind of like that. A lot of people were excited about it, the gameplay and everything. I'm sorry. No.
So-
I'm here.
So that would be okay. So best
That would be
announcement
my.
or best thing
Well-
to come out of. Okay.
Well, yeah. So I'm just going with what people have said and everything.
And
Now
Alan,
let
what
me
would-
ask you this. One thing I did actually miss, and I thought maybe you might touch upon on here, is Titanfall. With that whole.
I don't remember that one.
Titanfall
You
2.
didn't. Yeah.
What about it?
I thought that looked pretty cool. I didn't play the first one, but I didn't know if that was considered. If you guys are excited for that as well.
Certainly not the best announcement. I mean, the first one
Right.
really didn't do much for me, and so as they're announcing 2, I mean, they have something to prove to us. I think. My best announcement that to come out. I don't know. I honestly don't know. That Spider-Man game is really really cool, but I would think that would be a
Yes, that
category
was-
of best game that I'm most excited for.
True.
So biggest announcements, things we didn't know. Man, I don't.
I guess I'm most excited about.
Yeah, it would have been. That's why.
I think Death Stranding for me was probably the biggest announcement.
Yeah.
The weird trailer with Norman Reedus, the whole idea behind it, and the fact that it's the developer who it is.
Yeah.
That was totally blew me away. I was just like, what the fuck is this game? I have no idea. I'm really intrigued. I want to know more. I had no idea to expect it. So for me, that was probably my biggest announcement.
I have to
Yeah.
agree with you.
And
So
and the guy that's based off on that one character I was talking about in Days Gone is that Sam Worthington.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
who they got?
Yeah, he was the actor.
Oh,
Oh, nice, nice.
From everything that I've heard so far from everybody's like the conference right now, I'd say the one I'm most excited about would probably be the PlayStation, upgrade. To be honest, like have the 4K capability, the VR, because I am excited about the VR. Like, like I was saying, the bleeding edge kind of deal. Like, not right now ready. I mean, if it's gonna come with it, awesome, cool. If it doesn't, then obviously we gotta buy into it. We're not. But I am excited about the VR gameplay. Like, I hope that they're not just tech demos. I hope that they are going to be something with a little bit more, game. Yeah, gameplay.
I think they're trying to get past the whole motion sickness.
Do you guys want to comment on the worst announcements?
Well, yeah. The worst announcements they were saying was like people aren't excited about this game. I forgot. I don't know what it was announced on. I forgot what it was, but Sea of Thieves. Have you guys?
Oh yeah.
You guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Multiplayer pirate game.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That was the worst, huh?
Yeah.
I thought that kind of looked interesting.
What do we think is the worst?
They were the. Oh dang! It's starting to rain. The players were. It's not good. What the fuck?
Steve, what do you think the worst
Dude,
is?
get your shit and run.
All right, they said the players were it's kind of fuck this. No, it's gonna start raining.
Just
move,
guys,
dude. Keep going, guys.
Okay, I'll just talk about my interpretation of Sea of Thieves. So this basically looks like a dumbed down version of the Star Trek game, where everybody is doing like every player is playing together in this open world game where you're on a pirate ship out in the open. It has a kind of cartoony aesthetic, and everybody has to do a certain thing. Like one guy has to fire the cannons, one guy has to be up on the sails, one guy has to be turning the fucking captain's wheel. So like that aspect of it, I thought that looked pretty cool. Even if the gameplay didn't look extremely engaging, it looked fun if you had like your buddies to come around and be like, all right guys, we're gonna go pillage and like go kill some people. Like let's get on our, let's bust up the crew and go out there.
But the main thing people were complaining about was that you're the guys that you're playing, they comment every like 5 seconds. Like they're constantly talking every 5 seconds. They're like, this would be really good, but they constantly comment. That was like some of the things that they were saying as far as that game, like being the worst about that game, because like they hated watching them play the game and hearing that every 5 seconds. They were watching the people play them, and they had their faces at the top right or top left, but they couldn't really focus on them because the characters were talking every 5 seconds.
Okay.
It was same thing with Ghost Recon Wildlands. They were doing the same thing, getting updates from like the other PCs. We're like, oh yeah, it looks like he's got a tire out. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what I'm seeing. Like they're just like, I don't really want that.
The chatter is like overwhelming.
It's
overwhelming. It must not have felt either though. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked
totally.
It looks pretty cool.
Yep.
I didn't understand a word he said.
Yeah, I didn't
exactly.
So what would you guys?
Yeah, I think Cod Candy's pretty good.
What would you guys say? Who had the best conference? You think?
Oh.
I think Sony's probably one of the better ones. I
agree.
I don't think there's a wrong answer. I'm just
like
curious what you guys think.
I just like the games. As far
yeah.
as
Well, that's the thing. Is like it was focused on games. That was what I thought was really cool. They had like, a lot of games.
Yeah.
Worst.
Play.
EA was probably the worst by far.
Yeah.
I have to
EA
agree.
was not good.
The only thing that I would say Nintendo, but what saved Nintendo is the fact that Zelda looked so great.
But, yeah,
if it was Skyward Sword, I would have been like Nintendo. But yeah, EA didn't come with really anything.
I was saying no, except for Zelda. I was thinking that kind of. Yeah.
Well, what did he say?
Cool.
He said something about Zelda.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Zelda must have been his best or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he likes backdoor.
He likes backdoor.
So,
yeah, I would say EA. My favorite, I would say PS4 because of them focusing on the games and having just a wonderful presentation of like announcements, right? Coupled with the orchestra, like it blew people away. It was really cool.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying was actually the worst. Sorry.
One thing also coming out was which I didn't really go over much was Battlefield, the World War I.
Oh yeah,
I
missed World War I. Oh,
yeah, and I kept that.
So sweet.
Yeah,
it looks awesome. Yeah,
that is EA
great.
too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is EA.
The only problem is that I have such a bad taste in my mouth from the Star Wars one. So I hope they do good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope this one, because I mean that'd be cool to fucking fly a Zeppelin, and fight and stuff.
Fuck yeah,
that's awesome.
So Okay, I'll say this for a different topic, but I didn't know Battlefront was such a dud.
Well,
Yeah.
and then I forgot about that.
I was not happy with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rocco wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
If you could hear me, I don't know if you can.
He said,
Barely.
"If you can hear me, all you can."
All you can eat
Can
ham.
everybody hear me or not?
We should play a
If
telephone
you can hear me,
game.
hold my hand.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I
real
did.
quick,
Yeah.
favorite game that you're looking forward to, and game least you're looking forward to.
God of War.
Yeah, I was gonna say God of War. I think.
It's between God of War and Spider-Man, but I'd say God of
I
War
was
more.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Least would
That's
be
good.
that pirate game.
Mine would be
I'm-
my least would be Eagle Flight. I think.
Oh, I didn't see that one though. That might have been bad though.
Sorry, Steve.
I don't
hijacked
know.
because I just wanted to ask a question. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, you're good.
I don't know. There's quite a few from the Sony one. Like, I like the Spider-Man. I like the Last Guardian. I like that Bound indie game that I was talking about.
Yeah, that. I think from Sony's
Yeah.
selection, it's gonna be tough. I like those.
Yeah.
Actually, EA, same thing. I'm like, I don't really look forward to like Gran Turismo or
Yeah.
football or FIFA. It's like,
Gran Turismo.
Battlefield's probably the best one from EA by far.
Yeah.
Easily.
yeah.
Taking it back to World War I is like a pretty cool move, especially considering Call of Duty went super futuristic.
Right.
Like, I think that's like kind of like a big fuck you. It's like, oh yeah, well you went futuristic. Well, everybody's doing futuristic. We're going back to World War I.
We're gonna have muskets.
I think the zombie games are my not
Well-
so favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, zombie.
So Days
I'm
Gone.
tired.
Did
I'm
you-
tired of the zombie like theme?
Did you guys ever
Yeah.
play Call of Duty World War One or World War?
World at War. I played that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
World War II,
but that was my favorite Call of Duty one because I
Yeah.
loved. I've had that on PC actually.
Yeah, I really liked the whole World War II games when that was the setting for most of the games. I thought that was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Other than Modern Warfare, like obviously Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that was probably the best
Yeah.
best game for me for all of the Call of Duties.
Yeah. I just really
But-
liked it because like all the guns they sounded like realistic. Like it was like
Yeah.
like when you were watching like the Saving Private Ryan, like all those movies, like you see like one of the Berettas or not the Berettas, but anyways, just like you can hear like the ammo.
Ching ching ching.
It
Like,
sounds
yeah.
Dunk, dunk. It's friggin'
Yeah.
awesome. Like
really
That's why I like the world. That's why I like the Battlefield. The new Battlefield looks
Yeah, I
awesome.
think it's
The
Yeah.
sound effects and the aesthetic and everything looks.
Who's getting it?
Flamethrower.
I will get
I'll think
Battlefield
about it.
1.
Yeah, well, I mean, you won't be
That's
able to
not
play
you.
with this play.
Think about it, dude. Put your hand down.
Well, it's because he didn't. Remember, he didn't like it because he never got the whole aspect of playing with friends. Like he said, remember?
Oh
he was like-
yeah.
he was
So
like-
are we gonna actually get it for computer, or what are we gonna do?
No,
I mean, we
not
could get a
computer.
computer and then
PC.
Play would be able to.
Yeah.
But then
PC,
Rocco
PC,
can't.
PC.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we gotta
Why?
choose our friend.
because look at his internet, man.
He's struggling.
Plays League
What
with
I
us.
Even
Yeah, I
here.
play League, and so does
No,
Rocco.
I mean,
Dude,
Rocco does too.
When I tried to play Battlefront, it just pooped on my face.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
gross. All right,
It was so gross.
guys, we're talking about
so
poop on
mad.
face. Steve, is there anything else that you wanted to highlight before we wrap
I
up?
was there
Because
like
we're
the
running long.
Steve.
No, there wasn't anything else I really want to highlight. You know, I did. I already said what I wanted to say about the whole Kratos thing and
Cool.
the God of War, and then as far as my take on the Days Gone. So
Biggest surprise
you
for everybody
said-
else?
Probably Zelda for me. I mean that was pretty surprising. I'm glad that they're doing that, like and making it an open world more. So
Okay.
Cool.
what if they remade Zelda Ocarina of Time? Ocarina of Time.
Nah, they've already remade
I'm
that
kinda
twice.
I'll touch classics.
yeah,
man.
yeah,
I
that's
guess
just
The
That's
biggest
too
surprise
good.
for me is Microsoft saying that they're going to give you a PC game and an Xbox game.
Yeah.
That is pretty
yeah.
big.
Ah,
That is
That's a big
yeah,
surprise for
I
me.
like that.
Well, because I'm going through that right now. I have ESO for computer, and then my brother was like, "Hey, let's get it for PlayStation." So now I bought it. I had to start over. I have to create a whole new character. Yeah, I'm like, damn it!
$120
Like,
plus a monthly subscription?
no, there's no monthlies, and it was I only got it for 25. So
Yeah.
it wasn't much, but it was a pain in the ass because I'm like, I have a max level character just sitting in my account, but it's only on the computer.
Should get it at Guild Wars.
I do have.
Get in that Guild Wars.
That's right.
Yeah, Guild.
All right. Sorry, Steve, to kind of rush that along. We were just running really, really
No, it's
late. So that is going to wrap it up for us here on the Everything and Nothing show. Next week, we'll have another set of 5 topics for you. As always, doled up Monday through Friday, topic by topic. And on Saturday, you get the free episode with all the topics wrapped into one on our YouTube page, youtube.com/MailsomGamers channel. If you like what you're seeing and like what you're hearing, you can go on to patreon.com/MailsomGamers, and you throw us as little as $1, and we will give you goodies and rewards. Anything helps, and we're really appreciative. If you don't have money, that's okay too. Follow, like, comment, subscribe, and share on our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, our YouTube page. It's super helpful. We want to hear from you. We also stream games on our YouTube channel. We're streaming Division, we're streaming Smite, we're streaming League of Legends. Look, we know we're not the best, we're certainly not the worst, but we are entertaining.
Entertaining. It's getting there, guys. It's getting there.
So close.
Closer every time.
It's so close.
Closer every time.
So we want to entertain you, we want to play with you. Don't play with yourself. That's no fun, that's lonely. Come join us. Play with us.
Don't play with Rosie.
Yeah. So until next week, keep thinking about everything and nothing. It's been an honor to entertain you. Peace and take care.
Chicken grease.
Chicken grease.
Skadoosh.
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 them, including like Bungie, and so I think less companies are opting into this E3 because they realize it's not that big of a launching point as it once was or perceived to be.
Yeah, I also think that they all have their own conferences nowadays too.
Yeah,
like there's always like a Microsoft only one, and there's always like a Sony only thing, and there's just more game development showcases throughout a year.
Yeah.
Than I think there used to be, where E3 was like the one to go to and get everything for. Now it's like you can have one at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, fall, end of the year, and there's lots of outlets to get your info from games these days.
Really great point. PAX is another big one.
Yeah, PAX, yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
So now, what does it become basically? It's basically become the console developers, Nintendo,
Right.
Microsoft, Sony. It's really been about them and their hardware innovations, new consoles, game. What would it be? Game exclusives.
Oh, yeah,
those tend to be like the big things that you see and expect from E3 these days. So really, it's just like a gamer's wet dream, so that they can like see all the new, latest, and greatest stuff. So Rocco got added to the call, and I'm readjusting everyone's
yeah, that sucks.
thing here really quickly.
I think it would be pretty cool to go to E3 at
Oh shit! Justin
Yeah.
Timberlake, is that you?
Oh, man.
snap!
So yeah, I agree
Right.
with you, Ian. E3 would be great to go to. I would
Well, where was it located at this year?
It's usually always in LA, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Rocco.
We can hear
but
you.
You are a pixelated mess. And we're back. Rocco is still having trouble. We'll figure that out in a minute. But we're not delaying any longer. Let's get into it. Let's start out with, in order of the conferences that happened. So, Ian, we'll start with you. Let's talk about Ubisoft. Let's talk about EA.
Yeah, kind of had a pretty big topic here. I had 3 big hitters, EA, Bethesda, and Ubisoft. And we're going to be sitting here, and I'm going to kick it off with a little bit of EA, who I think kind of fell short in the E3.
Nice.
Only because, they really didn't have anything kind of jumping out. They showed, of course, their typical releases of, FIFA, Madden. All those are every year come out, so that wasn't a big surprise, of course. One thing I did see that was pretty cool was actually someone from Uncharted. Her name is Amy Hennig. She
Hennig.
joined, huh?
The lead writer on Uncharted and Last of Us, I believe.
Right. So she joined them, and she's working on a new Star Wars game, which I think would be pretty cool. Because I never played the Uncharted games until as of nice, Rocco.
Man, well, I don't know what you did, Rocco, but we went from the fugly boy To the
To the most
heartthrob.
beautiful man in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Woman back before him. He's the most amazing man in the world. That guy. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, guys.
Rocco.
And
Okay.
you're
Men
back
want to
to
be
first
him.
ship.
Interrupt there, but I just need to give myself like that formal introduction that I didn't get.
And
Oh,
there
you're
goes
going
his
back to
voice.
Fugly. You're going back to
That's what
Fugly.
you should say.
Ladies love him, and men want to be him. Right, Evelino.
All right, let's
Nice.
roll.
All right. Sorry. Ian was in the middle of discussing Amy Hedwig's new project, working with EA.
which is Star Wars,
Not
which I
related
think.
to Battlefront.
Are you?
Pretty sure it's not Battlefront. It's a new
No,
Star Wars
It's
game.
another Battlefront.
It's gonna be a new one. I believe that she's working on. And if it's like the Uncharted game that we're playing right now, I think that'd be pretty cool.
You gotta imagine it's gonna be character driven. So like a Boba Fett game or a Han
For
Solo
sure,
game.
for sure.
Uncharted 4 right now is pretty impressive. So
Right, and this lady, she's the what did you say, head designer or
The
developer?
lead writer.
Lead writer, yeah. So she's working on that with EA. So, and I kind of teased it before the podcast for everyone. But EA, one thing that they're doing is they're actually helping indie games out, helping them kind of publish their games and everything
that's
under
right, I
their
did see
banner.
Oh, cool.
So, which is huge because I mean, like, there's a lot of indie games out there, and I think that will really help them out.
It's kind of
especially
like
if they're
Steam's Greenlight project
Right.
stuff, right?
Right.
They
So,
held
and I mean,
back. Okay,
and you
sorry.
said this was EA that's doing this?
yeah, and I mean that's a huge company to be backing some of these indie games and everything. So
Yeah.
I think that would really help out people that have great ideas and concepts.
It's smart of them, bro. Monopolize the market.
Boom, make some
Start
money off that.
capturing everybody. Acquisition time. Just
Exactly.
buy all the studios up. Then it's just EA. So or at the end of the day, they'll get down to 3 game studios, and that'll be all there is.
I hope there's more indies. Like we're in a indie renaissance there for a while, and it felt awesome because it felt like it was the only thing I was attracted to, and felt fun. Felt like it was fun playing. So I hope that's like it's like the only place I get to go to even play a platformer these days, and so I'm really hoping it keeps up.
Name a game that's indie.
Well, Super
Sure.
Meat Boy was
that you like.
indie. I think Limbo was technically indie.
Yeah.
Two Brothers.
Indiana
that
Jones,
that
Two
game was
Brothers.
amazing. Or
Okay,
Brothers
okay.
or whatever. Yeah, Two Brothers.
See, I was
is
just
a
trying to
different-
figure out what games I might have played that were indie games and I didn't know it.
Rocket League
I would
is
think,
technically
I would think
indie,
that I would
right?
have known.
Rocket League. Yeah, Rocket
Yeah,
League.
sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So like,
Did you play Journey for PlayStation?
I
Journey.
never played that.
Journey was the.
I
don't think
know,
I played.
Yes.
I know. You had a whole topic on how amazing it
Right.
was.
Right. And that was like
You
a
guys
year
have a
ago,
PS4.
wasn't it?
I have an excuse.
I think I watched you guys play that game though. Didn't I? No, maybe
Not
not.
sure.
Was that the one that was going on in college? What game was that?
No, this
That was-
game only just came out.
that was
like,
Jay was
uh,
playing and all that.
Shadow of
and-
Colossus.
Okay, that's what that was. Yep, Shadow of
Oh, yeah.
Colossus. Was that an indie game?
No.
No.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking because they look creatively different than
That's
everybody
true.
else.
It had-
So
it
I
had
thought
the-
maybe perhaps
It
it
does
was.
have a different aesthetic for sure.
Yeah.
It was just
I don't
huge. It was a big game. So like.
I'll actually talk about that because Sony has a
Yeah.
game similar.
Cool.
All right, I gotcha.
So the other cool thing that EA is doing is they've put in place this like achievement thing, like when you make an achievement.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the Everything and Nothing Show. I'm just one of your hostess with the mostest, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Clayton Kisko, and I'm accompanied, of course, by the rest of the Maelstrom Gamers, aka the underdogs in gaming. With us
Very.
on this podcast, we have with us today the bad boy, Steve Landis. Oh,
Whoa.
and he's dancing. I gotta make sure I talk over that, or we'll get flagged.
Yeah.
I did. That's why I stopped it immediately.
Next up, we have the A Train, Mr. T House, Alan Tolner.
What up?
Yeah,
Oh,
Did you just do the
double X.
suck it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
bringing it back. And last, but certainly not least, we have the artist formerly known as the Enigma, aka the Wild Card, Ian Kane.
What is going on?
What's
guys?
going on, buddy?
Boom.
Not bad, not bad.
We
I like that.
We've been watching some E3 stuff, and we're ready to talk about it and share it with everyone here. But first, the old intro. For those of you guys who don't know or just joining us, the format of the show is very simple. Us, Maelstrom Gamers, we hop onto Skype every week, and we bring 5 topics for our discussion, but more importantly, for your entertainment. Each topic is put onto our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Maelstrom Gamers channel, and each topic is Monday through Friday, video by video on YouTube, and on Saturday, all topics are rolled up into one giant episode that you can get, and all of this is for you for free. But if you'd like to get it early or have other various rewards, you can give us as little as $1, which is like way less than the coffee you get, the third one in the day when you're strolling in the afternoon, you pick it up, and it's like $5-6 at Starbucks. You can take one of those dollars. You can go over to patreon.com/MaelstromGamers, and you give that $1 to us, and then we can put it back into the show. It's awesome.
Yeah. David Fry.
We can get better mics. We can get better video. We can put guests on this panel. We can do crazy things like go to E3 and do all this other fun stuff. So it's greatly appreciated. But look, we're not going to hound you. If you don't have money, that's cool too. There's other ways to support us that are equally as important. You guys can comment, like, share, and subscribe on our Facebook page, on our Twitter account, Instagram account, and our YouTube page. It's super, super helpful, and the people who have been doing it have been really great. However, I do have a problem that the Flat Earthers are probably the most responsive of the group. So
biggest vocal group.
Yeah, let's stick it to them, guys. Like, let's like our page. Let's follow us and subscribe us on YouTube, and let's comment on these guys and let them know that they're very silly and that the Earth is not flat. I'd like to outweigh them in the comments.
Yeah, can you prove it, Clay?
I can prove it. Yeah, Steve, don't be a troll. Also, real quick, on a more sincere note, I wanted to dedicate this episode, and I mean, I don't know how, like, we have like 66 followers, so it's really not that big of a deal. But I did want to just take a note of the tragedy that happened last week, with Orlando shooting, the mass shooting, the poor 2-year-old boy that was taken by an alligator, and the singer, the singer-songwriter who was shot as well in Orlando. So Orlando's just dealing with a lot right now. We have 2 Floridians with us on this podcast, so it also makes a lot of sense just to take a moment and dedicate this episode to them. So we're hopefully going to have a lot of fun, and we'll just kind of, in honor of them. Good. I don't know, maybe I'll put something at the end or whatever. It's worth noting, I don't care what you guys think, but I think, in the event, something needs to change, and I would urge everybody to really start thinking about it critically, and we got to kind of, this has been 5 years, 10 years now since this stuff has been happening. We kind of like, whatever, something has to change, and whatever it is, just like do something. So get active, vote on a local level, which is super important, and on a national level, just be involved and continue the conversation with people, because that helps keep it going and keep it in the minds of people, so that hopefully we can make a change moving forward.
Huge.
Okay.
Huge change.
Off on the sincere note, let's get started with our podcast. As you guys know, this is going to, well, you guys don't know, I'm going to tell you right now. This is an E3-centric themed episode. So each episode is going to be covering a different conference. But you're like, Clay, there's only 4 conferences, and you have 5 days with 5 topics. That makes no sense. It's okay. Steve was so kind as to host the final topic, which will be the best and worst of E3.
Yeah.
And I know you guys care about our thoughts on that. So on Friday, we'll cover all the different conferences, and then the last topic will be our own little awards of best and worst. We'll kind of just really talk about it. We don't really have any awards.
So can you explain, perhaps, for the non-gamer inclined viewers, what E3 is?
Yeah, thank you. E3 is, Sarah asked that same question like last week. E3 stands for Electronic Entertainment Boutique. Expo, thank you. Expo. I was thinking EB Games.
Yeah,
E3.
Oh, yeah, E3. Thank you.
It's like EEB.
And E3 is an interesting beast, because I feel like it's changed drastically over the years. Originally, it was only for press, and only press got involved, and a ton of games were being released or like announced, and you had first footage ever, and this stuff was getting trickled out in all the different news sites via the press. And then at some point, they opened it up to people, and then it became like this giant like show where you got to play these games for the first time as a public, and there was like bigger conferences. and then it shut down for a little bit, and then it came back, and now it's really like each year there's less and less conferences and publishers and companies going to them, showing off their games. Partly because I think it is a very stressful and unintuitive way to show your game. It really causes a lot of progress to get halted and forced in the game development. So a lot of times, you're building a game and you're working towards like maybe a vertical slice, but E3 is like smack dab in the like quarter of it, and you're like, well, this doesn't make sense for us to like bust our hump and crunch to get just some kind of demo that will get thrown away anyway and probably make people feel like, oh, you lied to us. So when companies have done that in the past, it's really bit
in the games and stuff. They're actually going to donate to charities.
Oh, really?
Cool.
I didn't dive like crazy far into it. I just kind of scratched the surface of it. But yeah, so that's how they're going to actually start donating to charities. It's like, oh, hey, if you reach this in the game.
Trophies?
Yeah, the trophies and stuff like
Okay.
that. It's like,
Very
we'll
cool.
donate so much money to this cause. And I mean, if you think about it, with how many people that play their games and stuff, that could probably get kind of up there in the prices. So I don't know like how much they're willing to do per trophy or something of that sort, but I thought that was a pretty cool concept though.
I imagine it would be like the tiers, the kind of the same tiers that they have on the achievements themselves. Some require ridiculous amounts of time to complete.
Yeah.
Right.
Other ones just are extremely difficult. So I imagine it could be anywhere from a few cents to maybe a couple bucks per one, considering there's millions of gamers out there.
That is gonna be. So I'm sorry to like interrupt and jump right in. Do you got a quick summary of like what EA had announced like game wise? Did you already go over that or?
I went over what
basically-
E3 is. Are you talking about Ian or me?
Ian, is Ian's topics EA, right?
And
I got
Ubisoft
EA.
and
Okay.
Bethesda.
Bethesda, yeah.
Okay.
So, but basically EA, a lot of people are saying, and I kind of felt the same way, is that they were kind of underwhelming with their games. They had their typical FIFA coming out, and the big thing on FIFA was that there's like more story mode driven, but still they're sports games. I never really got too far into story modes on those games. I don't know if you guys had.
Well, that's a big deal for FIFA, at least, because there's the first time they've ever had story mode, and it looks like a real cinematic like story where you start from bottom league and you make it all the way to you play for Manchester United by the end of it.
Man, if you could invest in Major League Soccer now would be the time, man, because it's like starting to get like even the gaming audience, like they're capturing you that way too as well. They're trying to get people involved in this to see like what happens in the soccer league,
Yeah, it looks like a Grand Theft Auto almost story element where you have like these little cutscenes that push the story along. And the aesthetic looks very similar to Grand Theft Auto, like especially San Andreas.
Is that some, as a FIFA player?
Or not San Andreas, the new one.
So
no, I have no interest in it.
I didn't
actually.
think so either. That was my thought too, because from what I understand, the allure of FIFA is the controls and the moment-to-moment gameplay.
It is
the meta of a
at the same
story.
time, yeah, I know people want a little bit more story element to feel like it's rather than when you're playing a season, you're just playing every single game like over and over and over and over again. So like something, a little bit of customization at that level. So if you play a character, like a player story season, you have a little bit more attachment other than seeing your name on the back of a character. Or if you're playing a manager, you feel like you're doing something more than just taking over the game and being the manager. You actually have something that makes it a little bit more unique. Like, I want to wear this. I want to see my guy like standing on the sidelines being the manager. I think they just missed some of that.
Because Madden has a really great formula in the fact that like after every game, you